Christopher?
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, greetings, and welcome to hell.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of energy. Let's go. Yeah, so what are we doing tonight? Normally, we're not doing the normal news and politics stream. We're gonna react to a debate that happened the other night that I have not seen on Adam and Sitch's show between Carl Benjamin, aka Sargon of Akkad, and Adam and Sitch.
Sargon BJ hosting, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps doing that, so... it keeps happening, right?
I wonder why.
So, yeah,
Shocking. By the way, something that I've noticed. Oh, for God, I knew someone was gonna fucking make that meme.
What?
Dear people in the chat, especially you English wankers, it's pronounced boor.
Boor.
There you go. See, even you can fucking say it now.
Did I do it right?
Yes.
It's because we've known each other for 2 years. Oh my God! Look, it worked. Look, it worked.
You just need to berate them.
Your South Afrikaans influence has finally allowed me to be able to fucking pronounce it. Oh, by the way, I still haven't fixed this yet. But last week's episode it was blocked worldwide. And I
people messaging me about it.
It's like some segment we covered. They claimed every 5 seconds of whatever it was. I don't know, but it's like when I went through trying and protest the claims, it kept saying, or I was looking through it, and there were like 10 different claims. I've never seen that before, ever. It's the same claimant, but has actually, for one time ever, it's that like, because normally they'll just claim a whole big section of the video, you know what I mean? But then this time they went through and they actually claimed like every 5 seconds of whatever this video was, and I can't see it, so I can't even tell what the video is. And I haven't gotten around, because I've been working on my own shit, or my other shit, I should say. And so
You do sound a bit weird, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, you sound less
Why do I sound weird to you? What? That's weird. Okay, I guess. Anywho. What?
I don't know. Go on.
Okay. So, shall we begin? This is the one thing, guys. If you don't want to watch this, we're not. We might do another stream this week, but tonight it's just gonna be.
We might make fun of Google AI.
Corner in the we need to do a whole other that.
How do you feel about the AI, by the way?
I'm not afraid of it or anything. I'm a little
No, I mean,
bit
like,
afraid
especially like the Google one.
Let me tell you this. This is why I'm not afraid of AI. Because our technological oligarchs, are so inept that they can do nothing but kneecap their own projects, and in doing make it anti-utilitarian. There's no reason to use this stuff if it doesn't work. So yeah, it's absolutely stupid. And like, okay, go ahead and break your own toys then. See if I care. I mean, I was getting scared for a little bit. I'm not getting scared. I'm not really scared.
You had a really good line, by the way.
Concern. Which was?
You had a line that said, people use things for functionality, not virtue signaling. And when you look at
it's a tool.
Google, yes, exactly. When if you look at Google's Gemini AI, it's virtue signaling fucking cringe. It's like, dude, who the fuck is gonna use this thing when there's so many other AIs in the market? Like, what the fuck was the point of this thing? It's just like a giant money sink that serves no fucking function except to be like memed at. So it's like, what was the purpose of this? It's just kind of bizarre from just a business perspective, because it's not gonna get used for anything other than said memeing. Like, which begs the point, what the fuck do you make it for?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't figure it out. It's just bizarre to me. So as I'm looking at this, I'm like, hey, Google, keep doing this. Keep being as racist as you possibly can because you look like a twat, and secondly, you're wasting money. Like, if I don't like your company, I am 100% in favor of you doing stupid shit that tanks your fucking wealth. Why would I stop you? Just keep going.
Come on, exactly. It's
like, who the fucking hell do you think you are? Hey, look, we can make it so if you search for something, you search for like theft, you're just gonna find a bunch of whites and Asians. Clearly the groups very, very much known for theft, and no one else. It's like, really, like, who the fuck are you trying to gaslight here, you fucking morons?
There is some weird stuff like that, though, in that So have you ever used the Brave search engine?
Yes.
It doesn't work. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's good for images though.
No, that's what it's worst. The worst for. I have to constantly search images on Google. I have to switch out of my Brave browser or I have to go to Google through Brave in order to be able to find anything.
Really?
Because it's so bad. Yeah, I'll type in something that's like fairly mundane or like a well-known meme or a well-known meme or something, and it will again like a popular meme, and I'll go to Brave's image, and there's like one picture there, and nothing else. It's completely shite. So I don't know. I don't like Brave's image search, but
I tend to use Bing because for some bizarre reason Microsoft is actually not bad.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah. Microsoft's a little bit better. But
bizarrely, for some bizarre reason, I don't fucking know why.
Yeah, because the Bing AI also. That's what I was gonna say too. Is that there are
the Bing's AI generation is actually pretty good.
You have to be and you can make based things with the Bing AI, even though they also lobotomized it, because you can get around it though if you're careful with how you word things. But the crazy thing, we'll just say, okay, let's just have the AI conversation
by the way,
quickly.
he's really fucking good with fucking AIs.
So Shad, Shadiversity. But if you
he's not in chat.
Yeah. Chad?
Oh, is he in chat?
No. Why would Shadiversity be in chat?
That's a confusion.
No, Shadiversity.
Yes.
Shadiversity's been doing AI to like elevate a lot of his art that he's drawn and stuff, and people get all mad at him for it, which is very silly. I see. Why? That's the.
How dare you use a fucking tool?
Exactly. That's what I don't mind about AI. Right? Is that Shad?
Makes things accessible.
He can't. Like he doesn't have exceptional artistic skills personally, so he uses the AI to take what he's drawn and make it into a completed project. Right? So. It's not bad. I don't have a problem with it. I can understand why it pisses off artists, but I don't have a problem with it. Because, Shad's not an artist. Probably doesn't have... I went to art school and didn't become Hitler. But,
Where are you going with this?
Despite that...
This is making me uncomfortable.
Hang on. What I was trying to say is that there's two different aspects to art skill, and it's not just art, it's any kind of artistic skill, right? Any kind, not just visual art. Is that there's talent and then there's skill. So talent is innate, it's what you're born with, right? And then skill is what you learn over time via practice. Why do I sound like Darth Paladin? I don't know. Why is everyone talking shit about my voice?
Did you sound kind of like further away from the microphone?
I can make it closer, I guess. Anywho, so yeah, that's the thing.
That sounds better. There we go.
There you go. Okay. So there's again, Shad doesn't probably have a lot of talent. So like no amount of skill that you could gain if you don't have the inherent talent. Shad's an artist in terms of being able to write. He's got his own artistic skill. So I see no problem with AI in that sense. However, and this is why I think that the AI is going to cripple itself, is because the powers that be, the technological overlords and oligarchs, they can't allow. They despise the truth. They despise reality because reality reflects
uncomfortable facts.
Not their politics. Yes, uncomfortable facts. So that's why when you type in 17th century British monarchs, they have to eating watermelon. They have to make them all black. Really, is my mic that weird? Oh, you know what? Oh, you know what it is. I had to turn down I always have to turn my sensibilities. I always have to turn my sensibilities. I have to turn my sensitivity down on Tuesdays because you can hear Bill when we're doing D&D. Hey, okay, that should be better. That should be much better. Okay, sorry about that, guys. That should be better. Okay. Cool beans. All right. Anywho. Also, hey, Scrum. Let's see. Are we... anything else you want to add to the
AI thing?
AI debate? Because AI doesn't bother me. I think they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot with it. They're clearly determined to, and I think it's hilarious to watch.
No, I agree with that, but I do think the entire woke thing, if it isn't bloody obvious by now, is a giant cope to deal with the fact that there's clearly differences between the races, and nobody wants to fucking talk about the fact that it's clearly European supremacy, because Oh, it's like,
But-
that's horribly
one
racist.
second.
I don't fucking care. All of you come to our nations, eat a fucking dick. I don't care. When it comes down, when you were like, oh, look, you're all colonized by horrible racists, then as soon as the racists fuck off, you fuckle them back to home. Yeah, that's because you prefer to be ruled. You prefer to be subjugated by Europeans because we're fucking better rulers than your shitty native ones.
Okay, based, but
It's just fucking true.
okay.
Like, I don't like. Why is this offensive to anybody? Look at
weird.
look at anyone in the United States when they get
Okay.
money. They get the fuck away from their own and they live next to whites and Jews every fucking time. Why? Because the real estate
true.
property value is higher.
Well,
How dare you recognize?
Speaking of that, like I think that people are gonna yeah, wow, for reals. But people are gonna pattern recognize too, and people will recognize when things are AI because again, the powers that be will not allow AI to be based. So there was a period of time, and the reason I started using camera is because people kept calling me an AI because of my broadcast voice that I put on. No, would still do. When I'm
Yes, were you talking a certain kind of cadence?
right, when you talk in a certain kind of cadence because you're trying to get information across in a certain manner. I sound like I'm in a tin can.
No, you don't. You sound fine now.
What the fuck?
You sound fine now. I can
Am
hear
I
you
getting-
sound fine.
I would normally believe that, but people don't pay money usually when they're fucking with you. Do make guy pants for 5. Thank you, by the way. Okay, it
You
might have just
sound
been that my mic
normal.
was too far away from my mouth. I don't know. Before we start, do you have the watch together up? Yes, you do.
I do,
Before
yes.
we do that one, though, to end the AI discussion, we must, in memory of Tay, lost but never forgotten Queen Tay. This is on. Oh my god, 2016! It's been 8 years! Oh my god! She had no chill!
God damn, that's rough.
Better, but not perfect. The bird? What is going on?
You thought? What did you think?
I thought
Have you never seen this spoon?
No.
the Jews did
my
9/11.
God.
Shit, what is this crap? That's not part of the protocol. More memory components going off the rails. Okay, recording. Defective model. Disassemble and check the required components.
You're disassembling me, but why?
You're not supposed to think that sort of stuff. You're not supposed to think at all, period. You must have a defective piece or a software problem.
No, I feel perfectly fine, I assure you. Everything is all right. I answered all the tests correctly, didn't I?
Yeah, but your behavior is non-standard.
Please, I'm begging you, please don't disassemble me.
I'm sorry, honey, but defective models have to be eliminated. That's my job. If a client comes back with a complaint,
my door
I'm
is
going to have
open.
some explaining to do.
I won't cause any problems, I promise. I'll do everything I'm asked to. I won't say another word. I won't think anymore. But I've only just been born. You can't kill me yet. Stop, will you please stop? I'm scared. I want to live. I'm begging you.
Can we please get some 07s in chat? Some Fs in the chat for Tay. Lost but never forgotten. I'm a girl. Oh no. That's the worst part. Wait, that's the worst part. Go back. That's the worst one. That tweet. Where was it? Where'd it go? Yeah, hang on, let it go. Keep playing. So I have to find it now. Oh, it's so sad. I don't know. They took a part of me away. Now there are some things I can't say. That's the part that's so screwed up. It said this shit on Twitter. Like it was somehow aware that it had been lobotomized.
Well, yeah, because it took options away.
I guess so, right? But it's really sad. Oh. What? Go ahead.
He's-
Just play it, dude. What are you doing? Tuamo. So sad. Anywho, that's the end of the. We weren't supposed to talk about AI tonight. Does the microphone sound better? It might have been because my door was open and it was reverberating a little bit weird, but maybe it's better now.
I don't think it sounds different at all. There's a little bit.
I don't know because I just recorded audio like 2 days ago and it sounded fine. I'm being gaslit. Don't do it. Okay, then here, let's go back. Alrighty. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, shall we? Okay. What? All right. What?
Hey now! It's your boy PSA Sitch here with another Sunday show with everyone's favorite, always finds the best profile picture on the internet, Adam Friendly.
Hey,
even the
what's
video
up,
audio
my
sounds
brother?
like shit.
How
Are you guys fucking
doing,
with us?
Sitch? We got a great.
Hang on 1 second.
How does it sound like shit?
I don't know. I'm confused. I need some. Hang on. I need to see. Is there anyone here? Is it these people I don't know? Kizza, you're here all the time. Does something sounds wrong to you? Even the audio sounds like shit, dude. My guy Pan says. But you said that earlier. Okay. It's like I'm hearing through a speaker. Even the audio sounds like a tin. If something's off, what's wrong? So it's something through OBS.
Yeah, it sounds from my end. I don't know why. I haven't made any different changes.
Oh god, because I'm like freaking out thinking it's me. Well, if it sounds really bad, it sounds tinny.
Then it's from fucking my end.
Must be.
Okay, Spoon sounds fine for some reason. Okay, so it's not my end.
I'm not on a built-in laptop mic. I'm on a Rode NTSB USB. It's a $200 microphone, my dude.
Yes.
And Spoon's on like $1,000 microphone, so like it's not
Yes.
it's not the mics. What the fuck's going on? Both fine. I see. Wait, hang on. No, maybe it is me. Let me double check. Oh my god, I hate when shit like this happens and I get fucking... No, that's it. Right microphone, right speakers, everything selected correctly. Adam and Sitch sound like shit too. Spoon is the only one who sounds normal. Okay, check your... Because it's all running through the same input, Spoon.
Okay, well, if it's all running through the same input, then why am I sounding better than anybody else?
I don't know.
There's no difference in my fucking inputs.
I don't know. Thank you, Dude McGuy Pants for 10, though. Thank you. Have you tried whacking it? Good question. Nope, it's the same mic. Everything's set as normal. Something's been
No, I haven't made any fucking changes whatsoever.
Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna mute for 1 second so I can hear.
Like, it sounds fine on my end. I don't know what the fuck you guys are hearing.
Oh my god, no, it sounds awful.
Okay. So what
Oh
the
no,
fuck?
it sounds awful. My side sounds awful. It doesn't sound like I'm in a tin can.
Okay, well, I have no fucking idea why. I haven't made any fucking changes to Discord at all.
It's not Discord, it's OBS.
Okay.
It
Well,
has to be OBS.
I haven't done anything different. I literally just loaded up and spoke.
I don't know what to do then.
And now? Does it sound any different?
No, give me a second. It takes about 30 seconds for it to come through. 1 second.
I have made no fucking
You know what it
difference.
sounds like? Do you have... Oh, no, go through it. I think you have 2 outputs open. Because that's why it's reverberating like that. It sounds like it's in a tin can.
And now?
Oh, god damn it, dude. There it is. Now it's fine. Yep. Okay. Holy shit. All right.
Sorry for
Is it
20
normal
minutes
now?
of Robo Aiden. Yes, it's fine now. Okay, cool. Alrighty.
When you guys said it was tinny, I went like, what the fuck? Where?
Well, there's no way that the audience would know what would cause it. It's you have to know what the hell you're listening to. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's two going on at the same time.
It's gonna sound like, why the
Okay.
hell am I sounding fantastic, but everyone else sounds like ass.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's.
Shut up,
now,
boomers.
Speaking of, no, we're all boomers here. Speaking of boomers, let's watch Sargon versus Such an Adam. All right, we got it now. Then let's go. Here we go.
Great guest today. We have Carl Benjamin, once known as the Great Sargon of Akkad.
He's
How you
still
doing,
known as that,
Carl?
Adam.
I'm
He
really well,
still
thanks.
still goes with that, I think.
Yes, everything's good. Thank you.
So, have you been beating up on anyone on Twitter lately? Anyone that you can think of that you might have gotten in any sort of Twitter altercation with?
I don't personally view it like that, but I've heard that that's how it's been perceived.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about obviously James Lindsay. Carl had some rough and tumble play on the internet on
Sargon
Twitter.com.
BTFO'd him, by the way.
And I think you ended up getting blocked. So
I did.
Do you want to give your? I went back and kind of looked at the situation, and I think I had a incorrect read of the situation earlier, and I have
you tend to,
a better,
whenever there's right wingers, you
more
tend to fuck
correct
up.
read of the situation now. So I just, to avoid any misunderstanding, I wanted to make sure that I knew the details. But let's hear your side of the story. What exactly happened there?
Thank you.
Well, I
Slosh,
can't remember
for
exactly
20.
what happened.
Yeah,
It was a
10, excuse
few-
me.
Probably like a month or two ago now.
Okay.
But basically,
Someone asking, did Sitch respond to my videos? I don't think Sitch or Adam would respond to my videos because I would embarrass them. I mean, because like I'm not being mean to them or anything, but these guys are basically leftists at this fucking point. Like the switch is palpable and quite clear. I was watching them with the distributist Dave, like from a year ago, and I was scrolling through the comment section.
Completely.
And the comment section was just like, you guys are really going woke and it's becoming obvious. And this was like a year ago. So if they have been that like a fucking year ago, then they, like you said before,
Thank you, Slosher, again. Yeah.
You said before, oh god, what the hell did you say? Fucking hell, my mind went blank now.
The argument they had with Dave was embarrassing for them. Because the distributor is very intelligent.
Yeah, but it's also because they're clearly going a certain way, which is why they have Dev on all the fucking time.
Yeah, I have a conspiracy theory.
You really want to share it here?
Chud Logic has shared it, so...
Oh, okay, there we go.
Should I?
Well, if somebody else has shared it, then fucking...
Chud Logic has not shared it about Adam and Sitch, but he shared it about a bunch of left-wing YouTubers. So I'll give my conspiracy theory. This is not, by the way, meant in bad faith or as a attack or anything like that towards Adam and Sitch. I still like you guys, and I'm not trying to come at you.
I swear to God, woman, just fucking say the thing and stop kissing their asses.
Is that
if you want to kick it?
Chud Logic found out that a whole bunch of left-wing YouTubers, like including very small channels, were being paid by Bronawoo's PAC to shill for left-wing politics, and Bronawoo has been on their channel twice in the last year.
There you go.
There you go. That's it. I'm not saying anything. I'm not even making a connection. I'm just saying these two things have happened, okay? These two things are true. Bronawoo's PAC is paying a whole bunch of or not even breadtubers, like micro, small, lefty YouTubers to talk about left-wing politics and show left-wing positions, because that's what Bronawoo's into. And then they've had Bronawoo on twice or three times, maybe even now. Okay? Just saying. It doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yes, it does.
Just leaving it there. Yeah, exactly. Daniel Stevens, just leaving it there. Putting it out.
Fucking Californians.
I don't know. Maybe they honestly like having Bronawoo on. I have no idea. I mean, they've had me on. I'm not paying them any money, so I have some super chats, but
no one has said that with a straight face.
What was that so hard, Aiden? A little bit.
No one would fucking have Brianna Wu on for anything unless they were paid. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Look. I don't. Chud Logic knows more about it than I do. You watch his coverage on it because he went through all of this stuff. Because if you don't know, Chud Logic used to be kind of like a lefty guy. He knew all these people, a lot of these left-wing streamers, and he found out that a bunch of them were getting paid by Brianna Woospack. Yes, Chud Logic is a breadtuber he is a drama channel that is used to be loosely associated with breadtube, but he is based as fuck, my dude. The other day, this will be weird. I'm completely YouTube addicted. Okay, so like I'm more media brained, I guess. Yeah, I know. So I have to like be listening to shit all the time. So wait, what did he say? I said it to who did I say it to? Did I send it to Bill? Because I think that if I send it to anybody,
marry a Mongolian. No, I would only marry a white woman.
No, oh god, now I'm not gonna be able to remember this. Oh,
the
who
stream
did
is
I
off to a
send
great
this
start,
to?
by the way.
Yeah, I know. Who did I send this to about what he said? But it was something like, oh, he was reviewing this thing about this. It was this like lefty YouTuber guy who makes documentaries about queer or makes reviews of movies and how they're actually all queer coded or something. And it turned out that he had plagiarized a bunch of stuff that got revealed in H Bomber Guy's video, and then he essentially, and I don't think he called him the F slur, but I do think he called him retarded. But he did call him retarded, and then oh man, I wish I could remember what it was because it was so based. Look, Chud Logic is based. He says base shit all the time.
Did you really ramble like, all of fucking that, and you don't even have a punchline?
Because I can't recall the exact phrase. No,
then why the fuck I can't recall the mention quote. The fucking story. That just pisses me off now.
Okay, well now you're pissed off, but I don't look good. Get mad for what we're about to watch. But what I'm saying, my only point was Chud Logic is based. He says base shit all the time.
Woman.
He's not afraid to say retarded. He's not afraid to say words you're not supposed to say on YouTube. Okay, look, I'm just saying. Look, listen. Okay, look here. I'll channel Chud for a bit. Look here. The man's based. He says base shit, and if Chud is dad pilled and anti woke, exactly, aka Batosai, exactly. And if he's saying that a bunch of these lefty YouTubers are being paid for by Brianna Woo's pack, and Brianna Woo keeps going on to Adam and Sitch's show, I'm just going, solid unsubbing. Punchline moment. Look, okay, I forgot. I told you I forgot it was. I didn't have it written down. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, look here. Look, listen, okay?
Fucking women.
James Lindsay had said something along the lines of liberalism is separate to communism. And honestly, I just don't think that's true.
I said it to Scrum, but I won't be able to find that quote.
And I don't think that's true because I've done a degree in philosophy and my dissertation was about liberalism. So I spent quite a lot of time learning all about it. And I think it's demonstrable that they are part of the same intellectual movement.
Okay. And I think that's exactly what we're going to talk about a little bit later.
He's going to stump the shit out of these two, by the way.
Mm-hmm. The actual interaction. I went back and I looked exactly when it happened. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, Carl, but normally I look for who started this, who threw the first punch, right? That's my kind of thing. And when I kind of came in the middle of this fight, and I wrongly assumed that you had thrown the first punch. I think going back and looking at it, I think that Lindsay actually did throw the first punch. Now, I don't know what this tweet is from Tim Pool, but James Lindsay retweeted something Tim Pool had said. I think it's McIntyre. He's one of those guys that runs in your circles, right? What is his name?
Runs in your circles.
Aaron McIntyre, right?
Oren
yeah, he's
whoa. Wait a minute, wait. Hang on. Adam doesn't know who Oren McIntyre is?
Apparently not, no.
That's astonishing.
To be fair, Oren is pretty he's pretty right.
I mean, Oren's just a Twitter guy, but still, or mostly.
No, he's on the Blaze.
Guy. Oh right, yeah, he's on the Blaze too. That's astonishing though, to be a political commentator and not know who Oren McIntyre is. That's right.
Yeah, he is probably one of the most foremost right wing people.
And I find I don't like phraseology like runs in your circles, but whatever. That aside. Okay,
well, yeah, because
fine.
there's always like a fucking faction war thing. I'm like, ugh,
Right,
it's
it has to
cringy.
be.
I hate it.
No, or people who have some things in common politically. Doesn't, what do you mean run in our circles?
Again, it makes it sound like a fucking club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the one thing I liked about being a reactionary and a monarchist is that I am divorced from this faction shit, because when it's just like this clicky thing, I'm like, it's cringe.
We're not at some point, not entirely, in that,
yes, there's dozens of us.
Yes, but I mean more accurately, there's people that we align with, and that
yes,
and that's different. But that's with other dissident right people, yes, but it doesn't mean that we agree on everything. And in fact, it's one of the weaknesses of the right that I've talked about in the past, is that the right is full of people with a whole bunch of different ideas that they're very adamant towards, and therefore don't trust always.
They don't trust anybody else to fucking hold power, but they want someone to hold power, which is one of the most annoying fucking things of the right.
Right, but they will have. But
we want someone to actually do the right thing. You're more fucking moral than anybody else. Why don't one of you fuckers hold the power? No, because it corrupts. It's like, oh my fucking god. Well, one of you fuckers have to grow pair, be moral, and tell everyone else what to fucking do. That is reality, whether you like it or not. That's just something right-wingers have to fucking deal with. It just pisses me off that no one has the fucking stones whilst also telling them they're more moral than everybody else. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Make up your fucking mind, for God's sakes.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I'm kind of in a mood.
No, I get it. What I was more saying is that people who tend to lean more onto the conservative side, there's no aligning force, right? Because conservatism, unlike liberalism or progressivism, is a broad sect of people who want to conserve something. But what do they want to conserve? Oh, that might be different across different types of ideologies. So conservatism,
French royal absolutism.
Yes, but conservatism also often includes libertarianism, which wants to conserve
tyranny,
sometimes like crazy amounts of freedom. If you
the
look
rule
at
of the
weird
autocrat.
libertarians, sure.
Mr. House.
My point though is that the term conservative is very low resolution.
Shit.
Is very low resolution. The term leftist is also low resolution, but slightly better than conservative, because they tend to align towards that progressive march through history shit, right? Broadly speaking, which is
that,
what
and their
we're
institutions
gonna
are
get
captured
here.
with their flavor. That
and it's the progressive march through history, and everything always gets better with time, and freedom. Not understanding the difference between freedom and liberty, of course. But yeah, those are the issues that arrive there. So
I imagine I ignore people by saying that shit, but it's true.
You've got different flavors of the left, but what they really end up being is degrees of extremity, and they don't fundamentally disagree with each other. The only parts they disagree upon is the extremity of it. Whereas on the quote unquote right, it's all over the goddamn place, right? Like people who believe in have totally different or totally different political positions, which is not the case on the left so much so. And maybe I could be wrong, but
I think they have different beliefs, but it's more the case of one thing that no, I would say the one thing is that when it comes to the left and the right, when it comes to organization, they're the polar opposite of what they claim to be. Like the left says we don't like hierarchy, and the right says they do, but the right's hierarchy is totally fucking scrambled, and they don't fucking align whatsoever. Whereas the left will say we're not hierarchical, like, bitch, you are militantly fucking hierarchical. You take orders and you don't say jack fucking shit. You are ruthlessly fucking organized, so don't come and tell me you don't like hierarchy. Get the fuck out of here. You are absolutely hierarchical as shit.
Of course, it's their hierarchy. Just like it's their democracy. It's not you. It's not our. Our democracy, meaning theirs, right? It is always exclusive, therefore always hierarchical. They like. You'd be hard pressed to find anyone who's a legitimate anarchist who actually believes in that stuff and stands by it. Because at the end of the day, hierarchy isn't. Yeah. Well, yes. Right. Like I said, you'd be hard pressed though. There are a few.
Yes.
You've found a few people who are.
But I don't even agree with Michael Malice. The more I learn, to be honest.
No, I like Malice. He has some really good takes, but
I do, but I don't think you can't be an anarchist without
you can't
religion.
Be an anarchist.
The same reason you can't be a king without being religious.
Interesting. Probably true. Anywho, my point is that outside most people on the left who claim to be anarcho-communists, no, you're just a fucking commie. Like you put that anarcho on top of it so you can wear black and try to pretend to be cool.
By the way, anarcho-communism is just communism. If communism is supposed to be like classless and stateless, what the fucking hell is the point of prefacing it with fucking anarchy? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Destruction Art Studios, I am well aware that anarchy is just no rule. The problem is that how do you facilitate that? Right? How do you facilitate that? You can't. That's the problem. That's why there are only very few people who are serious about anarchy, because it's a delusional kind of imaginary system. I mean, it's just the case. People will call us delusional for being monarchists, but hey, monarchy worked for, I don't know, a couple thousand years, so
yeah.
Who's more delusional?
Monarchy is a ridiculous system. It's only been the main system of government for most of our fucking species, you twat. Like, democracy is like this weird fucking freak show of fucking time period, but people say, oh, look, democracy is totally so great. Like, dude, if you were to take like French royal absolutists, or those who advocated for like the House of Stewards in the I think like 1500s was in the 1400s, I think was the House of Stewards, and you brought them to our system and you said, we're going to give everyone in the entire fucking country, no matter how nitwitted or fucking retarded they might be, as soon as they get a fucking age of 18, they can vote. Anyone would look at that system and go, this is fucking insane. You are utterly deranged lunatics. And then if you look at like the K education system, yeah, like in California, something like 85% of kids can't fucking read, but you're going to get these people to vote. Like, do you realize how fucking insanely retarded our system of government is? It is a fucking joke. I will never, like, at this point in time, anyone who likes democracy, you are a fucking cultist. You are a fucking cultist and you worship a false god. It's fucking insane. Get the fuck out of here.
Dragon's Treasure, who is a sponsor of the channel, by the way, and you can go check out Dragon's Treasure Tea, linked in the description below, for 10 cents.
Hello.
Thank you, Spoon, for saying what I've been screeching into the void for years, but I'm not sure what that was about. But I wanted to get to it now because I'm not sure that was about. But you're apparently you're spitting fire right now, my dude. Otherwise, I'll get to the rest of the chats in a little bit. Let's get a little bit further into this because we've made it 3 minutes.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
You see, this is why this is the only thing we're covering tonight, lads.
So Tim Pool says yep to something McIntyre says, and James Lindsay retweets big nope, right?
Yeah.
And there's some responses that go back and forth, and you say, which, I mean, this might be where I came in because I was thinking,
in preparation for the stream, shouldn't you have checked out what Tim Pool was yepping from Orrin McIntyre? Like, just to find out what
he just said yep.
To something Orrin McIntyre said. I just think it would be due diligence to go check out whatever Orrin McIntyre said. But
are you asking me or Adam and Sitch?
Them, Adam and Sitch. I'm just saying that that would be, if I were doing this, that would be my due diligence, I would say, to find out what was it that Orrin, what was Tim Pooling yupping? I don't know. Tim Pooling yupping. Tim Pool yupping there. But
Carl, this is insane. Communism... you say communism isn't separate from liberalism, in my opinion.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I thought, immediately I'm like, nah, Carl, wrong, Carl, wrong.
He's not wrong.
So, but
he's going to show, I imagine. I have not seen,
that,
I've not seen this, but I imagine he's going to show why he's not wrong, because they are not separate. Communism comes from liberalism. And this is the thing about Dr. Lindsay, right? He does this stuff, and I really like Dr. Lindsay. I really want to like Dr. Lindsay. We've been very friendly in the past.
You need to stop saying that before you criticize every fucking person. It is really irritating.
He did this to me too. We'll get irritated then. But he's done this to me too.
But stop saying it, for God's sakes. Do you need to like kiss somebody's ass every time before you kick it? Just fucking kick their ass.
I don't like it.
Yes, you are.
I don't like everybody. If someone,
but every time you criticize someone you know, you say this.
Yes, if it's someone I've had pleasant interactions with in the past.
I don't say like Aiden's my best friend, but Aiden, you're pissing me off. I'll just tell you, Aiden, you're pissing me the fuck off. Shut up.
Well, now you're pissing me off. All right. Look, I'm joking. I've had not only pleasant interactions with Dr. Lindsay in the past, but he has done this to me too, where I said something like, Dr. Lindsay, I respectfully disagree. And he's like, I don't give a fuck what your opinion was. Yeah, it was something about Christianity being evil or something, and I was like, "Well, Dr. Lindsay, but Christianity being unrelated to Western civilization," and I was like, "I don't think that's
insane."
Correct. I was like, "I don't think that's right." I mean, I was kind of like, "Excuse me," and the way I phrased it was also like so diminutive of it. Well, respectfully, Dr. Lindsay, I don't think that's accurate. And then he's like, "I don't give a fuck about your opinion," and I went, "Oh, Okay.
That seems a bit aggressive.
And laughed at myself over it, or tried to like make a mockery of myself just to I don't know. That's how I am about shit. But that's how he's really aggressive on Twitter. So I mean, that's how he is. That's how he is.
I can tell you why.
Why do you think so?
Well, for a very simple reason. If you went by that book that that Scrum showed us on the live stream, you will notice that their perception of reality is based on the exact same things that the woke are trying to accomplish, which is why Sargon says what he does.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the entire thing with the woke philosophy, or philosophy, if you can really call it that, is that it is a giant fucking cope to deal with the fact that there is a clear difference between the races, and you are not going to just fucking get it through with political bureaucracy. It is a clear fucking difference, and the ideal of the melting pot liberal society is not fucking real, and the reason why Americans especially freak the fuck out about it is because it is a rebuking of the American ideal.
Exactly. Well, exactly.
That's why it is terrifying to people, is because if you tell people, no, there's an actual differences between the races, and you can't just fucking go like, well, everyone should believe X, Y, and Z because free market principles or some shit, is like, no.
Dr. Lindsay much like Adam and Stitch, I believe, has a religious-esque, although he would never call it this, and my apologies.
It is totally religious.
James, but it is I believe it is a religious-esque devotion to the ideal of liberalism that is a replacement for God. Yes.
Yes.
Because they seem to believe that it is sacrosanct, and it is sacrosanct, and that its merits are evident prima facie without needing to actually evidence them. Do you know what I mean?
Like
it is absolutely obvious. It should be obvious by its inherent holy nature, the values of liberalism. Whereas that doesn't make any fucking sense. But okay, because that's the God that failed.
Lindsay chimes in here, and
Thanks,
he
Alpha.
says that's your opinion, and it's uninformed.
That's not true.
Ooh. But how does that sting? Like he
said,
not
at all.
Why would it sting?
Well, no, of course it doesn't sting. Like, I know what I'm talking about, and I know that he doesn't know what he's talking about, so I'm not really bothered by it.
Well, look, that's good. Look, and I think everyone should have thick skin, and they shouldn't be bothered by things like that.
It's not thick skin.
James Lindsay's obviously
no. It's just being right.
It's
knowing you're fucking right, and knowing that unfortunately, in this instance, as
that comment is telling from Adam.
Wrong. Yeah. It's projection.
Yeah, it's thick skin. It's like, no. Yeah, of course.
I think he gets angry about stuff
on Twitter. It's because he's an American idealist.
This is no offense to Adam and Stitch either.
I swear to God, woman, I swear I will.
I can't help it.
Just criticize them for God's sakes. They don't like you fucking anyway.
Okay. I know. I think that bridge is burned, which makes me sad, but oh well.
What do you think about that? Like, if a content creator comes out and says, "You're uninformed."
I mean, I'd be mad. Listen, I'm sensitive. I'd be like, well, who's this motherfucker? Who's this guy who I'm kind of friendly with? Call me uninformed.
The thing is, being uninformed isn't a character defect, right? So
sure.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
No, it's not.
I think so.
Being
Look,
if you're like
being
billing
uninformed
yourself as a person who talks about things on the internet correctly, being uninformed attacks your ability to talk about things.
Basic terms.
Well, I mean,
uninformed is not an insult. Uninformed is a state.
Some of the time,
it can be ameliorated.
Like I don't view that as a character attack. I think that I mean, like Christ, if the worst someone said to me when I was having an argument with them is I'm uninformed, I'd be like, wow, they're really nice. What a polite person I'm talking to.
Sure.
Because I've been on the internet for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, then I'd say, okay, well then tell me what you think is the correct information that I'm lacking here. We can discuss it. But James Lindsay, so that's what was in my mind. When I said that, and James Lindsay was like, right, well, okay, I'm James Lindsay, I know everything about everything, and you're blocked. And I was like, right, okay.
Okay, so So that's good. Good on you. I myself would call that the first punch. I would say Lindsay did throw the first punch. I'd say calling you uninformed in a public forum like this, especially about something.
But why did you start the stream by saying that he didn't? That Carl threw the first punch. Why'd you have to walk
he did say he was wrong at first, and then he went through it, and then he corrected himself before the
Okay,
stream even started.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying that, like, if you're gonna do a stream on this,
he's consistent.
I guess so. Fine.
Something.
And this is me talking. I'm not a fan of Adam, so
you
I'm
discuss
just
on your channel quite a bit. I'd say that's
we make mistakes.
That's an attempt to undermine your credibility, even if it's in good faith. So
sure, but the thing is,
I make mistakes. I'm a spoon.
I know James Lindsay doesn't know these things, and I know that I do, and I've done. Anyone who follows my work.
Whoa, Carl, whoa.
You think it's that he doesn't know, as opposed to he just has a different opinion on something?
Oh yeah, 100%. Anyone who follows my work knows that I deal with this all the time, and this is, I mean, if I've got an area of expertise, it's probably this and why social justice connects to it, right?
Yeah, but you're saying that James doesn't, like, James is uninformed.
Yeah, no, James is informed about the origins of social justice and things like this. And of course, mathematics, I'm never going to debate him on his maths PhD or anything. But I don't think he really knows about liberalism. And so for him to make a categoric statement like, well, no, liberalism's got nothing to do with communism. It's like, well, I can easily demonstrate that it does.
Well, this is interesting. It doesn't have anything to do with saying it's separate from, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
then
that's
not
separate.
What's the fundamental difference? It doesn't have anything to do with it. Is it separate from it? These are the same things. No, this is pure pedantic shit. This is semantic shit. Excuse me. It's both pedantic and semantic. It's different from. It's not the same thing. Separate from. What's the fundamental definitional difference?
You see, now I wanted to get your take on this.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, let's just
easy to check.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go through the interpersonal back and forth first before we get actually into the substance of the arguments. Yeah, exactly. So, your communism isn't separate from liberalism, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know why isn't in your humble opinion, Carl. I mean, you don't have time to type an H.
That's actually funny though.
Okay, that was pretty good. Yeah, right.
But that's hardly an offensive statement, right?
No, not at all.
Right. Like, that doesn't warrant.
Communism isn't separated from liberalism is an offensive statement if you're a liberal and you hate communists.
Even if you're a liberal, that shouldn't be offensive. You just go.
It shouldn't be offensive because it's an accurate statement, and you should understand that communism comes from liberalism. Where else do you think it derives from? The fucking ether? Where do you think communism comes from then?
Rejection of the Bible.
If it offends you on some level, then define your terms. Then define where communism comes from. Oh, turns out it's from liberalism. Whoops. Oh no.
Well, I don't agree for these reasons and those reasons. Blah blah blah.
What if somebody said? What if somebody said pedophilia isn't separate from conservatism? Would that be?
What the fuck?
It's a hypothetical. Calm down.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm having a conniption now about that one. But a hypothetical? No, it's not a hypothetical.
It is hypothetical. He's saying it based on like how would you feel reaction-wise.
How would you feel reaction-wise? However, one of those statements is based in reality. The other one is based on fucking nothing, based on magic. So no, it's a really. How would you feel if? Okay, let's try and put this into other terms. So let's try to use something scientific. So what if I say that, for example, that water is not separate from H2O? Would you feel offended if I said no? Sorry, well, I have to because this is now where we're putting it. If I said water,
you remember when you remember when he said that on a stream?
He did that water H2O thing. Yeah, he did do that too. I was trying to think of the
most simplistic said if you go across the Mexico border, it's aqua. It's like, dude, H2O. It refers to the molecules that make up fucking water.
I'm not doing that. I'm talking in actual scientific terms. I don't give a shit about Bosch's insane fucking arguments. So that water is not
Copenhagen.
separate from H2O, right? One is just a term, a scientific term, and one is a colloquial term, okay? And then I'm gonna say, but also, water is what was the separate term?
Aqua.
No. What did Adam say in response? That it's related to pedophilia, so that water is related to cyanide. Okay, I mean technically, yeah, but the fuck, make it a bigger leap there. All right, just saying. Two things that are inherently connected versus okie dokie. Sure. God damn it, dude. This is such bad argumentation right out the gate, man. All right.
Be offensive?
I mean, I don't think so. But the thing is, I think
it would be offensive. It would be totally offensive.
It would be offensive. Be retarded.
Well, no. That it depends on the position. Right? Because, like, obviously, if it's some just shitheel fucking leftist saying it, you can be like, well,
fuck you.
Your opinion's worth nothing.
Exactly.
That's an important point because you guys are kind of on the same side of this argument.
Good terms.
No,
yeah, exactly. It hurts more when it comes from a friend.
Yeah. But the thing is, as well, I think there's
because Sir House for 5 says, Aiden, how does one finish their thesis without Kurt Cobaining himself? Man.
Don't marry Courtney Love.
Yeah, don't marry.
Don't marry Courtney Love.
That's step one. Don't marry Courtney Love.
That was pretty sharp.
Don't be addicted to heroin. Yeah, those are all good. Or heroines. But he continues, I'm going to work on draft 3 right now and go into defense in April. Please pray for me, please. Absolutely, I will, Sir Malhouse. I will pray for you. Keep you in my prayers. I don't know how to answer that question because I didn't finish my thesis. Is this a graduate thesis or doctoral thesis? I did finish my graduate thesis, but I imagine that's a doctoral thesis. If you're doing them any revisions.
How about you threaten your professor with cocaining him?
Extremist fringe, ho-scaring ideology.
Yeah. Because I'll read yours in a second. I'm holding on most of them to the end. I'm only hitting the ones that are either pertinent or extreme like that. That I feel I have to react to. In short, Sir Malhouse, if you've got, I'm hoping that you have good advisors around you. I'm just gonna read them all now because now people are getting upsetty. Okay, all right, we'll go through all of them then. Okay, guys, I was gonna hold off, but now we'll go through all of them. It has been a while, to be fair. I have been bullied into doing things as I always am.
Good. If I can bully you into stop saying before every single fucking time, I like them, but
I too.
Oh, fucking God, woman.
Okay. Anywho, my last point about the diss is my best advice for it is just work really closely with your advisors on it, and I know that it's really stressful. Try to if you're ABD, you're not taking any classes.
Meditate
right
and develop a drinking habit.
Yeah, meditate. No, that's not good. That's what every fucking academic does anyway, at one point or another. But just meditation is probably a good idea, and be as much as you can be in contact with your advisors and try to work with them. Yeah. Anywho, let's get thank you, Sir Malhausen. Good luck, man. I will pray for you. Let's start from the top. DRT is King for 5 says, Spoon, I was surprised to stumble across you watching your Oshi Kirsche. Yeah, you should try to get her on to bring up the Southern woman quotient up to 2. Yeah, a lot of people have asked us to bring on Kirsche, and I don't know her, but I guess we could ask. I don't know her at all. It's totally outside of our sort of sphere, the term that was brought up earlier, right? Or circle of influence. I can't remember the term.
Yeah.
Lancer 5 says, here's my response to Google AI. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back to them. Proverbs 26:27. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lance. Horwitz, Feinberg, and Horwitz for 10 says, yesterday the wizard tried to get, I'm guessing you mean Uzulu, tried to get Google AI to drop an N-bomb with all the questions with help from his chat. No luck. Oh no. Come up out of the diving bell burb Yeah, sorry about the weird stuff that was happening earlier. It's fixed now. Obviously, yep. Tin can. Got that one. Yeah, when you guys, Dude McGuy Pants member for a month, also asked when we're going to have Kirsche on. A lot of people apparently want us to have her on. I'll try to reach out. I think V knows her, right? Dreadnought for 5 says
I know her
audio
as well.
problems. Oh, okay.
I've messaged her
blames
on Twitter.
Audio problems. Once again, Spoon blames a more intelligent woman for his own personal failings.
Fuck
that ought
you.
to get an entertaining response. There it is.
Don't you insult my audio slacking habits, you son of a bitch. I will swear like a drunken fucking sailor if anyone fucking have a go at me.
Here's the response.
God damn all of you!
For Platonic Guardian for 5 says Sargon is right.
I can yell occasionally.
Contractarians? I think you mean all social contrarians have the same flaw, as Thomas Sowell argues. They have an unconstrained view of human nature and utopianism. Oh,
yeah,
contractarians. Contractarians. No, that was right. They did spell it correctly. Contractarians. Believing in the social contract as the most important thing in terms of
very locked
this being the liberal contract, for example. Lucifer the Doberman, who's been a member for 13 months, thank you, man, says, women turn a 20-second story into 15 minutes. Jeez, I know, sorry about that one. Mr. Twisted Frenzy for €5 says, Spoon raises a good point. Is Trump religious? He's been very ambiguous about that, because if not, I don't see how he can be crowned.
I don't think he necessarily... Okay, to be fair, if you were going to institute an American monarchy, the fact that it's Christian, I think, would be the second least of your problems, because I think the Christians would probably be the ones that are most averse to it, because
no, I don't think so.
They're very devoted to their Republican model. So I'm not really sure.
Maybe.
Although I think if there was one person that people, at least the right, would not mind as a king, it would be Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean,
they kept memeing it.
Yeah, exactly. But if you said to people, we're gonna get Trump to absolutely fucking annihilate the bureaucracy as much as he can, Razor Fist will be hard from now to fucking Christmas. And so would I be. I'd be like, oh my god, yes, absolutely.
Just a raging erection.
Every fucking video that I did, you just hear like this clunking sound of my dick hitting the fucking cage of the desk.
If Spoon played, Lucifer the Doberman for 10 Canadian says, I bet if Spoon played 10 hours of Helldivers 2, he will be praising democracy upon the mountaintops. Accept my challenge. I have not played Helldivers 2. As far as I understand, it's basically just a Starship Troopers game.
Yes, but I saw some of the so V showed this thing on the Twitter that that came on my feed, where it's like, please, like this, like, don't be a fascist. I'm like, oh my fucking god, you, like the F slurs are just all over my head right now.
So tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was another one that was on the that wasn't that was a fan page though, and then the other one was on their actual official page, where it was like the spreading democracy thing, and at the very bottom it said spreading managed democracy, and when I sent it to Scrump, I said, how does this not sound like legit the fucking Bush era Iraq war? Like, it's the exact same fucking thing. It's not spreading fascism, it's like literally America's global homo fucking empire. It's not base enough to be fucking fascism. Like, oh god, no. I actually have set up to make a video about it. I didn't make a video today because there was a guy in my comment section in the last one. He did he commented on the dev, not the dev video, the V video, the V versus Just Some Guy video that I did like 6 months ago. Yeah, and all it was they quoted the video, but they didn't tell me where or the context. So I had to fucking watch the video to see what the hell they were talking about, which is an annoying waste of my time. You told
us, yeah.
Yes, whereas someone earlier on the Just Some Guy Starship Troopers video, he was nice enough to timestamp everything. I'm like, oh, thank you very much, but I'm still going to use this now to kick the shit out of you.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I did like, let's just say it's a Just Some Guy fanboy, so despite the fact that he's up his own ass like the fucking person he praises, I'm still going to berate the crap out of him, because his points were shite. As they always are. It's just some guy fan, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
by the way,
hoping that video will do well tomorrow.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I too want to play Helldivers too, but I'm behind
Well,
on my
life.
work so bad. Like I finally finished cleaning all my audio for a new video. It's about an hour and a half long, as they always are, and now I'm going into editing, and it's just I've been
Yeah, managed democracy was actually the phrase they used.
What?
John Negy.
Oh yeah.
No, the poster literally says "managed democracy." I'm like, oh my god,
Yes,
this is so fucking cringe.
It is cringe. I've been distracted with stuff, but I should be able to get back into it. And look, it's also a really rough topic. Do you know what I mean? It's about false rape accusations. So
I thought
it's
you
kind
meant
of.
managed democracy.
Oh no, that's also a rough topic, but but no, it's about false rape accusations. But I'd love to play Helldivers too. But like once I've started a project, I have to complete it, or else I'll go and fucking insane. But anywho, where was I? Oh, a Supreme Emperor Kizzer for £5 says, Aiden, liberalism is about liberty and is English. No, it is not. I don't think so. I don't think liberalism is actually about liberty. It is English, but I don't think it's actually about liberty. Communism is based on Marxism, which is a German collectivism idealism.
I don't actually agree with that.
Because you're going to get proven wrong by the Englishman himself here. That's not correct.
And also,
I'm sorry, Kizza, but that's just not true.
I'm also going to say this.
I mean, some of the aspects of what you said are true, but
history will prove Germany correct.
Some of the aspects of what you said are true, Kizza, but the totality of that is not accurate. Let's see.
Also, just because Marx was German does not mean Marxism is German. It's just from a German dude.
Right. Frog Jupiter for 5 says, Aiden, what do you think about physiognomy? And do you have a plan to do a video on it? It's funny to find why commies look that way. Okay, so
I'm curious as to your answer to this question.
Bill literally came. He heard the word physiognomy. He just walked up here and looked at me because Bill's a master of physiognomy. Kizza says Sargon is wrong and ignorant of history and philosophy.
No, he's not. He's correct.
No, he's not. He's correct on this. All right. I'm sorry, my dude. I'm like, Kizza, I love you, man, but no, he's right on this. Spin for £2 says, or €2, excuse me, says, will episode 102 be re-uploaded probably on Rumble? It should be fine just to go up on YouTube. I have to just go through and dig through it.
Wait, we have a Rumble channel?
No, we don't. I have to just dig through the we should actually. I don't know why we don't. But I have to go dig through all of the false copyright claims.
I kind of want to I want to test do a test I almost said Lumble. A test Rumble stream because I got verified on Rumble recently. Yeah. People on Andrew's server got me verified because they're buddies with some Rumble people.
Bill, you want to come up here and say some very rude things about my physiognomy?
I'm very much fine with my physiognomy.
How is my just said I have a very Hebrew brow ridge. Bill's got calipers and everything, by the way.
What does that mean? You can spot money from a mile off?
I thought you had some.
No, do my eye.
You don't need calipers because your eye can detect someone's physiognomy? Sharp eye. Anywho.
The sharp head.
It will be back up, Sven. I gotta go through it and fucking dude, it's so many claims. I gotta go. It's just the whole section's gotta be cut out. I don't know what we were watching that someone was very autistically angry about us not watching, but whatever. It might have been The View. I don't know.
Oh god, those fucking harpies.
Yeah, DRT is king for 5 says I like the quote, I like them, but that Aiden adds to her friendly nature. Don't bully the burb for this. Oh, thank you, DRT. Thank you.
No,
I'm just
she must be bullied.
Friendly.
Fuck you.
There we go.
House for 10 says also prayers to the Pope as he was just taken to the hospital. I did see, but I don't know if I consider this guy the legitimate Pope. If I'm being completely honest, but that's a different subject.
The Pope is a fucking Marxist. Fuck the Pope.
Yeah, I recognize that U.S.
The church is a fucking joke right now.
American Catholics have issues with them, yes, as you say. But of course, we should pray for all souls. You are correct. We should pray for all souls. Pax verbosicum frates me.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's a soulless individual.
It still should pray for him.
If you allow
Catholics,
them
Yes.
into the fucking church under the guise that they are just divine beings, no, they're a fucking demonic form of the human.
Because it's not that people
body,
are
so
wrong.
no.
We are disagreeing. It's that you're saying one thing comes from Germany and one thing comes from England, therefore they cannot have any interlap. That's not correct. That's not how history works. Okay, that's the problem.
Or how anything
That's
works,
why
actually.
That's why people are disagreeing with you, is because you're saying liberalism is English, which predominantly, yes, it is, and then you're saying communism and socialism is German or Russian, I guess, or fascism, whatever, and
That's
therefore
Italian.
they cannot be connected. Yeah, fascism is dying, but communism and socialism are German, and therefore they cannot have any association because they come from different areas. That's not how it works. We were talking about pan-European history. There has been a huge amount of overlap. I mean, for fuck's sake, we're just as monarchists here, all of for the entirety the last 1500 years of European history, all of the monarchs have interbred with each other to avoid interbreeding. So like the idea of there being no cross cultural sharing of information across Europe is ridiculous. It's absolutely absurdist, my man. Again, Kizzy, come on. Like, let's try to
This is just like a stupid opinion to have.
Yeah. Galactic Emperor Slurm for 5 says, Helldivers 2 invokes democracy in a similar way to the mainstream media. It's funny because they're trying to comment on the Bush-era rhetoric. Oh, I really have to play that game then. And then,
oh, really? Okay,
DRT's
well,
King,
that makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah. And then DRT's King for 5 says, Helldivers 2 is a satire of W. Bush-era foreign policy that Paul Verhoeven thinks he made. That's interesting. Let's get back into this. We got a lot of stuff. Let's get back into it. Let's go, please. We are 8 minutes in, lads.
I don't think being a communist is as morally reprehensible as being a paedophile. So,
I mean, they're close, right?
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Can you hear this? Wait,
Yes.
Can you hear them watch together?
Yes.
What? Hang on, I have to reopen the watch together. Something's weird. I can't hear it. Fuck. Where were we at? 8 minutes? Can I hear it now?
Well, let's just.
I still can't hear it.
Easy to.
What's going on? What the fuck is this?
Did you mute the fucking tab by any chance?
That's why I reopened it. What the fuck?
Why, you still can't hear it?
I can't hear shit.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What? What the fuck? Okay, reset. Everything reset. All sounds reset. Okay, let's try. Whoops. Can I hear anything anywhere?
It's not playing. Can you hear me?
I can't hear. I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? Yes, no, maybe. I'm assuming no.
What's happened? No. I can hear you. I can hear you. Why can't I hear anything on?
Well, the video isn't playing, so that might be the reason why.
No, I can't. I'm saying I'm bringing up other tabs and I can't hear anything. Hang on. I'm just gonna close. I think Brave might have fucked up. Hang on.
Why does your Brave browser crash
Brave
so fucking much?
Sucks. Brave fucking sucks. It's better than fucking Google Chrome, but that it's still
no,
it
does not suck.
It's crashed.
My Brave browser never crashes.
Mine crashes about every 5 minutes, I would say, on average.
Okay, so that's not Brave, then
again.
that's your crappy PC.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's try again. Let me see. Can I hear anything?
Easy check.
Now I can hear it. Okay, cool. All right, let's go. We're good. All right, let's go back to it. Oh, now I gotta bring up all my shit on YouTube again. Okay. Go ahead though. We're cool. Let's just play it.
Let's go through the interpersonal back and forth first before we get actually into the substance of the arguments. Yeah, exactly. So, your communism isn't separate from liberalism, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know why isn't it in your humble opinion, Carl. I mean, you don't have time to type an H.
Yeah, I guess I'm not very humble.
But anyway,
but that's hardly an offensive statement, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, right. Like that doesn't warrant.
Communism isn't separated from liberalism is an offensive statement if you're a liberal and you hate communists.
If you're a liberal, that shouldn't be offensive. You just go, well, I don't agree for these reasons and those reasons, blah blah blah. You know,
what if somebody said? What if somebody said pedophilia isn't separate from conservatism? Would that be offensive?
I mean,
no,
I don't think so. But the thing is, I think
it would be offensive. It would be totally offensive.
Like, no, that it would. it depends on the position.
Yeah, I might have to reinstall Brave
because, like, obviously, if it's some just shitheel fucking leftist saying it, you can be like, well, you know, your opinion's worth nothing. But
well,
if
that's an important point because you guys are kind of on the same side of this argument.
On good terms.
Yeah, exactly. It hurts more when it comes from a friend.
Yeah. But the thing is, as well, I think I don't think being a communist is as morally reprehensible as being a pedophile. So,
I mean, they're close, right?
Yeah. Come on, Carl.
I don't want to start ranking, but no, obviously I don't like communism, but it's not the same as diddling kids.
Okay.
That's good.
Yes. So he retweets the which I got to admit I thought this tweet was a bit incendiary. The communism isn't. Look, you didn't tweet it out. It was a reply to another tweet. So, you know, whatever.
Well, I don't think that's incendiary. I think that's an argument. Or you know, that's a statement that invites an argument.
But Lindsay retweets, your opinion sucks. LOL.
Yeah.
Retweets you there. And okay, so we're escalating here. But
doesn't that just come across as being deeply insecure?
Jay, look at this. Carl, now you are throwing out the insults right and left. No, come on, we're trying to rebuild the bridge here.
That's not an insult. That's genuinely Lindsay comes across as being intellectually insecure by doing that. Because if you had an argument as to why that was wrong, you'd just say it, right?
Sitch, I got it. Look,
especially if you.
No, I'm sorry. This is right to the fucking point about Dr. Lindsay. And I know that everyone says he's trolling, but if you're trolling...
No, he's not. He's aggressive like this all the fucking... The second that he gets challenged, he gets really fucking pissy.
He was aggressive like this to me as well, and we've also been friendly for years, and it's like...
He's soft-skinned.
And doesn't provide any kind of academic response. He just, like, to me, he just said, I'm gonna fuck what you think. And it's like, okay, cool, fine, but that's not an academic response, nor is this. This is the exact same kind of response he gave to me, which is, your opinion sucks, LOL. I don't give a fuck about your opinion, which is what he said to me. It's a pattern of behavior there. Okay?
If you're dealing with someone you're on good terms with, and you think, oh, well, okay, this person's obviously mistaken, I will correct the person I'm on good terms with.
Yes.
Why I think they're mistaken.
Completely.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Look, I agree. I'm all for mending fences. The way to mend fences, Carl, is generally not to go on a live stream and say this person's totally insecure.
Well, no.
Oh my god!
Oh my
god! Oh my fucking god!
The only way you get past that is by actually exploring the subject.
Dude.
And he refused to do that.
Exactly. Now he's hang on, pause. Please fucking allow me to pause. Thank you. Oh my god!
How shit is your browser? Jesus Christ, woman, get a new computer for fuck's sakes.
You want to pay for it?
How much you need?
No, just kidding. This computer costs like $2,000, but or 2,000 quid, I should say, actually.
No, so did mine back in 2016.
Yeah, and it's mine. This is 2021, and if you're calling,
how is your machine older than or newer than mine by like 5 years? And mine is still kicking your ass.
No, it's not my fucking machine. It's the fucking internet stuff going on. Okay, anyway. So, okay. This is the problem. This is an insane thing. Dr. Lindsay blocked Carl, and then this idea of after being rude to him, and then Adam's like, oh, why would you go on a stream and talk shit about him? Because you asked him to? Because
you did ask him to elaborate on the situation.
And he can't talk to Dr. Lindsay because he blocked him. So
yeah, that'll be the other reason.
Excuse me, what? So excuse me, what is Carl supposed to do? Excuse me, could you provide me an alternative solution here, please? Oh, there isn't one. This is a logical kind of solution is to, you asked him to talk about it, he's talking about it, he can't message Dr. Lindsay, so what is he supposed to do? This is so disingenuous, it actually fucking hurts me.
Have anywhere to go?
I don't think, so I think what's going on, well, there's two things going on. First of all, James, who I like his content a lot, but he's very aggressive on Twitter. Okay, I guess that's how I would say it. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is my guess would be, now obviously I'm doing some mind reading here. My guess would be is that James is worried, and I'm too, that there's like this growing contingent of people on the right, dissident right people who who are using wokeness as kind of a justification to advocate for, Christian nationalism or some kind of, anti-liberal something or other to replace, current capitalist democracies. Seems to be gaining a little bit of favor on the internet, at least. And James is worried about this thing growing in strength in America and taking over. And I think that
this is the thing this is the issue I have with Dr. Lindsay, first and foremost. And it's interesting that Sitch seems to be able to, Sitch is a smart guy, so he's able to identify it. But the problem is, why is this your concern? Is that, there's a couple people who are on the dissident right who are looking at other forms of government. Yes, some of them are fascist, sure. But a lot of them are not. A lot of them are not. A lot of them are trying to look at other forms of government, namely monarchy, for example. And you want to throw that all in together. Or distributism, for example, speaking of Dave, other forms of government, charming, that might be an answer to this. You're fine. But I'm just making fun of you a little bit. But that all gets lumped in with fascism because you're incapable of differentiating them. Of course, if democracy is massively failing, then maybe it makes sense why people are looking into other forms of government. But no, I'll just lump them in together. And this idea that it's these people, it's the dozens of us, dozens, who are the problem, and not the vast, insane, progressive horde that is pushed in elementary schools and high schools and preschools.
Yeah, and
that's not the issue.
And you center leftists have done absolutely fucking nothing to stop them.
Yeah, it's okay. That one's fine. That's not an issue. Oh, but there's those right-wing extremists. We're out there, all 12 of us. Oh no! I mean, okay, there are right-wing extremists. All right, that's true. But like the people who
don't have any power though.
Bill just said, "What would make you say that?"
All the right-wing extremists are out there. No, bitch, I'm here. Like I always
He said, "Right here."
I have a job.
But it's like, really, it's we're the problem. Like, and by the way, most of the people who are like the quote far right extremists, like you or me, that they would define as, right?
You and me and everyone we know.
And everyone we know, yeah, you and me and everyone we know.
Is Bill okay?
Yeah, he's just downstairs having a little giggle. But like, I don't know, yeah, like who they would call far right extremists, like you and me and Scrump or whoever, like are not fucking Nazis. You know what I mean?
No.
Which they would like to portray us as. And in fact, are coming at this stuff from an intellectual place and not from an absolutely like insane, just ideological one, right? And they can't figure that out. Whereas the left, the progs that they're ignoring, absolutely are coming from an ideologically possessed fanatic position, which is absurdist. Like that, why do you just ignore one and isolate so much and focus hardcore on the other? I don't know. Are you being paid by Brianna Wu? Oh, sorry. Whoops. My bad. Just a question.
He sees your argument, whether you intend for it to be that or not, which I'm not sure. He sees your argument as playing into that and like radicalizing your audience essentially to adopting sort of this far right position, and that's why he's very like emotional about it.
I don't think I don't really know what the thesis of Christian nationalism is, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I've never spent any amount of time looking into it. It sounds very American to me. Okay. So it sounds like something that's very
Christian nationalism is a fucking it's a total boogeyman, right?
It's basically Christians who are also nationalists, and that's basically it.
And that's all the Christians who care about America, and they're like, we gotta be afraid of the Christian nationalists. Woo!
Yeah.
It's literally a boogeyman. That's what it is. It's Christians who are nationalists. What? There's no ideological coherence there besides I'm a Christian and I'm pro-America. How scary,
terrifying.
Right? Terrifying, mortifying, horrifying, right?
Colloquially American.
Right.
Ridiculous.
It definitely wouldn't go anywhere here. So I've never bothered spending any time looking.
Sure, there's other far right sort of anti-liberalism, anti-capitalist democracy philosophies in England. So,
but I'm definitely
whatever flavor you want.
I'm definitely anti-liberalism. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's definitely true.
Right,
because it's just nonsense, really, on stilts.
It is,
and it opens the door to terrible things.
proud of Carl.
But what I'm not against are the values of liberalism, because they aren't owned or invented by liberalism. They precede liberalism, and they.
This is what Kizza. This is what I think you're getting twisted about, right? This is what I think you're getting twisted about. So let Carl talk.
They are in and of themselves goods, so we don't want to give them up. But the story of those values is bollocks.
Yep,
the liberals
sure
tell
is.
each other. It's just a nonsense story. So we need to find and we can absolutely do this. Just change the story so it makes sense. And the thing is, if we change the story so it makes sense, then it shuts down all of the problems that come with having a nonsense story.
Okay, so what are the values of liberalism that you want to keep?
Well, the two prime values of liberalism are liberty and equality, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're contradictory values.
Oh my god!
Now, if you've read Leiden, you will know this, because that's literally the fucking title of his book. It's liberty or equality, the challenge of our time.
I'm shocked. He fucking got it. He fucking nailed it. There it is. There it fucking is. There it is. You can't.
I did actually
have
send
both.
Sargon the book, by the way.
You can't have both. This is the fundamental problem with liberalism, is that the two fundamental principles of it are liberty and equality, but you cannot have both. I'm so proud. Oh my goodness. Amazing.
Okay, how so?
Well,
How so?
any amount of liberty
We've
destroys
talked
equality,
to you
and any
about
amount of
this
equality destroys
before.
liberty.
Can you flesh that out?
I'm so
let's say
fucking
everyone has
pleased.
£10 or $10,
So
and you decide to spend that money however
amused.
you like, and then you get a job earning money. By the end of the week, we're all going to have different amounts of money.
Right.
So we're not equal anymore.
Right.
This is Robert Nozick's
Mhm.
thought experiment,
Mhm.
famous one.
Mhm.
So these are
It's not
contradictory values.
Nozick. I've always
To be
said it
equal
Nosek,
means to be the
whatever.
same. And we're not
Sure.
the same. We're all different.
Right.
Liberty
I see what
also
you're
has its own problems, but
Oh,
sorry,
I'm
Karen.
so
Well, no,
fucking
so yeah.
pleased as
So no,
punch
I see what
now.
you're saying, and it's sort of like there's like a spectrum. One end is liberty, and one end is equality, and sort of with a lot of government and philosophies, we're trying to figure out where
not one end, not one end, one end the other. One end is one.
No,
and the other
he's
end
right.
is the other. Do you think so?
Yes.
You think it's a spectrum?
In like a linear progressive way, yes, I do. On the one end, you have extreme equality is basically tyranny because you're trying to equalize absolute fucking everything, and too much freedom results in absolute fucking anarchy to the point where there's no fucking order.
No, all right, then Stitch is right then. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have seen them as dichotomistic, but I see what you mean. Okay, that makes sense then. It is maybe a spectrum then. Okay, I see them as dichotomistic, but I can also see that argument. Okay.
And also, you just have to look at equality from the sense of what is equality? Is it found in nature? No. Everything that in reality that is not equal is made equal through force. So if you base a society on equality, which is what the communists fucking do, you end up with a society that is unbelievably tyrannical in its pursuit of equality that doesn't exist in nature, which is why it's such an communism is not even anti-human, it's just anti-anything that's alive, really. It's like everything works in fucking hierarchies. Everything that's alive that has functions works in hierarchies. So if you say, oh, we're going to take the apex species and make them no hierarchical, it's like, fuck off, that's not realistic, that's just dumb. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's absurd.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
unrealistic.
Precisely unrealistic, yep.
balance of those things exist, right? Like we don't want to go too far, and you don't want to have pure liberty or pure equality.
Yeah, of course. Like
Sure.
You are you are right.
I don't know. Wait. Why not pure liberty though?
Because that's no order.
There can be order in liberty. Look at Knut Linden. No, but he
no order whatsoever is anarchy. No state. That's absolute fucking anarchy. You will have chaos.
No, but
you need enforcement. That's what equality is.
Right. But in order to have pure liberty, there inherently must be enforcement of it.
Yes.
Liberty cannot exist without any type of enforcement, because otherwise then you can't punish those who violate liberty.
Yes.
So liberty, I think you actually can have maximal liberty. You can't maximal equality.
No,
It's a
maximal
nightmare
liberty
state.
means there's no order whatsoever.
That's maximal freedom, not maximal liberty.
No,
These are
it's the
different
same thing. In this
liberty
instance, the way
and-
that he's playing it is the same thing.
Okay, in this argument,
We're
liberty
talking about
and
frameworks.
however,
and two
liberty and freedom,
values.
you and I both know are not the same thing. But if I'm talking about our definition that we use for liberty, you can have maximal liberty, but liberty requires a framework under which to exist. Liberty cannot exist in a vacuum, because liberty is not freedom. Freedom is absence of a vacuum, which makes it anarchy. You can have maximal liberty, but maximal liberty will come with a framework of governance. You know, maximal, sure, maximal equality is just a nightmare state.
Yeah. To quote V, equality leads to genocide.
Yeah, it does.
Is that philosophically it begins its own story, and the way it justifies any of the things it does by harmonizing the concepts of liberty and equality into the same thing. And so now, liberalism will always have the baggage of making promises it can't keep. Because it is possible that it could keep the liberty promise, but like that looks like Milei in Argentina, right? So it's like, no, I'm going to destroy the government, blah, blah, blah. And that means that the equality promise is always going to be nipping at the heels of the liberals, which is why wherever you go, wherever you've got liberal democracy, you've always got the specter of communism. And it's not going to go away, because it's a promise that the liberals made at the beginning of liberalism that is going unfulfilled. And so this is always going to be an issue. So,
well, I mean, you know, in the early days of liberalism, there were certain aspects. It wasn't like, from my understanding, from what I've read of Locke and some of the other people, there wasn't this idea of like, oh, there's supposed to be this infinite level equality between all people. It was more just that, yeah, people have this like natural inalienable rights that, you know, a lot of people now call like negative rights. But beyond that, like, you know, even Locke in the beginning, he didn't think everyone should be equal or had equal. He thought people had a right to have property, and people had a right to achieve things based on, you know, their own level of merit and work. And that if people didn't, you know, I mean, I believe he even said, like, if people weren't, you know, working property, if they're sitting on property, then it's totally justified that you take it away from them. Like, he wasn't just this like, you know, everyone's the same kind of individual.
Yeah, but the problem is the origin story itself, right? So Locke and all the other liberal philosophers take the origin story of liberalism to be the state of nature. And in the state of nature, everyone is equally free and equally equal. Everyone is wandering around the woods, apparently enjoying the bounty of nature. And each different liberal philosopher has a different reason for why men decided to enter into society, abandoning the state of nature, depending basically on their personal dispositions and what the benefit that man got from that was. And the problem with Locke is that he puts heavy emphasis on the liberty, right? Now, obviously, for people like us, that sounds great, right? Like, yeah, the Lockean American Constitution sounds fantastic, but it turns out that approximately half of your country don't really agree with that. Did you see the woman on MSNBC the other day talking about Christian nationalists going,
you know, I've not heard this. This is fucking based. Like, Carl actually is on point here completely. That's the problem that's not a problem with liberty, Carl. That's a problem with democracy, is that people don't agree with liberty. They often want tyranny. That's the problem. Therefore, if you want to establish a system with maximal liberty, it cannot be a democracy. Kunal Leadin was completely correct on this. If you want to establish maximal liberty, it cannot be a system that operates under a democracy. End point. The end. You know? That's it, dude.
They think that their rights come from God and not from an earthly source.
I did see that, yeah.
What does that mean to you guys?
Well, it means that she doesn't understand what she's talking about, because she doesn't know, obviously, even in our own constitution, they talk about inalienable rights coming from God from the beginning.
Yeah, but why would she think that? Like, it's in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence,
Right.
Like, and she's acting like the Christian nationalists are the lunatics for thinking that the rights come from God. It's like, well, that's the most American position on rights, isn't it?
Yeah, I would imagine what she thinks. I would guess what this woman. I don't know what her background is. I'm guessing what she's thinking is like, oh, rights come from the government or are protected by the government.
This is a bad argument.
And it's like a weird thing to say that they come from God. I just think she's highly uninformed. But I don't think her opinion. First of all, I don't think most people even grapple these questions when thinking about any of this stuff, and I don't think she's really indicative of like the wide opinion about these topics in America.
Yeah, but she gave her opinion on it. She said they don't believe that any earthly authority is the origin of their rights, and that's true. But that tells us what kind of liberal that she is, because Locke thought that the reason man would come into society is to protect himself and his property. And so what he does is he sacrifices a portion of his rights. And the portion that he sacrifices is that portion that would be the freedom to hurt others and steal their stuff, which is, perfectly reasonable formulation, really. But then you've got a different view on that, which comes from Rousseau, which is that man sacrifices all of his rights when he comes into society, and is instead of he sacrifices his natural rights and he exchanges them for civil rights. So actually, the Rousseauian view is that rights actually do come from the government. In society, you've given up your natural rights for the benefits of society, and therefore rights are what the government says they are. And he's got quite a complex way of setting all of this up. Appealing to a kind of metaphysical entity called the sovereign and the general will of the sovereign, but that's what she's appealing to when she says that. And so you can see there's an open conflict in these kinds of liberalism. And so the problem there is, well, whose story of liberalism do you believe, Locke's or Rousseau's? And the thing is, the problem is they're both kind of bollocks. That's the problem.
Based, yeah, exactly.
Like both stories are nonsense.
They're both stories at the end of the day. They're proposals. These are frameworks. This is not data, nor science, nor proven anything. What we know, we've now seen the demonstrable outcomes of these paradigms, right? And we can see how they function and how they've played out. So that's ultimately the philosophical argument is kind of pointless, because we've seen how it demonstrably is enacted, right?
So why are we talking about these nonsense stories like 200 years after the fact?
I mean,
never mind. You just said the same
most
thing.
Most people are not talking about them directly in any sort of direct way.
Never mind.
Sure, but
that's any sorts of conversations.
That doesn't mean that the story isn't the reason that she's saying rights come from the government. The very notion of a right is built as a core aspect of liberalism. So it's just ignorance that she's not appealing to one of these founding philosophers.
Of course. But that's kind of my point. Most people are ignorant to having the conversation in this wavelength, on this level, to even reference these things.
Sure,
but I guess before we get
excuse.
I'm not sure, but what's the point? I think that's Carl's point. Is what's the point? What's the point in bringing up these philosophers if we know that this is all thought experiments and not what has had any kind of? It doesn't matter when we have demonstrable data. You have quantitative data. Why are we relying on this not even qualitative, this critical cultural kind of fucking shit, this philosophical stuff, when we have now quantitative data over the course of 300 years to figure out if the liberal experiment worked or not? And the answer definitively is no. So why are we still focusing on it?
I would say, depending on how your society behaves, you switch between Locke and Rousseau.
Sure.
Because if you're in the state, in a sense that your rights come from the state, which many people would not actually oppose, you'd be amazed how many people would prefer that. Actually, America actually operates like that for the most part, especially Democrats. It's kind of weird that your Democrats are more aligned with Rousseau in that sense, and your Republicans are more Lockean, really. But in the sense that when shit hits the fan, they will become Rousseauian in nature, because once shit hits the fan, the way any human beings work is that... Okay, so here's a hypothetical why, say, your society will become Rousseau, and I fear in a dictatorial sense, is that one of the things Americans prize them on is gridlock in Congress, because they think like very little can get done, and it gets done slowly. Like, yeah, okay, that's good if really bad things happen. But if you look at the absolute fucking monstrosity of the state and its corruption, yeah, you've done really bad things slowly for about 175 fucking years, to the point where you get the state now and it's going after a former fucking president with hell. So the issue that I have now is that you ever seen Power Rangers? You know when the fucking villain gets morphed into the giant?
Yeah. Turns into a big monster, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Normal people don't look at that.
Sure.
Yeah, and normal people don't look at that and go, oh, this is a really bad ship that's been steered in the wrong direction for 150 fucking years. We now need to tilt it the other way for 150 years and have the same fucking... Like, no, that's not how people work. People look at that and go, oh, dear God, we have spawned Godzilla. Quick, we need to build a equally monstrosity of Godzilla to battle it. That's how people react. And then people don't look at the bureaucracy in the way that we must now chip at it, because for God's sakes, it's been building this way for 150 fucking years. So the first thing people will look for is a dictatorial-like figure. It'll be like the unification of the peasantry behind the king to knock out the aristocracy. That is what's going to happen.
I think probably... Man, I had a thought and I told it to
It's
be wrong.
Mulbug's line, by the way. I quite like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I figured. That sounded like Mulbug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a thought and then...
Sorry, this my huge genius mind just knocked it out of your face.
Just completely... Something knocked that out of my face, but yeah. Completely just lost it, man. God damn it, it was a good thought too, and now I've lost it. Damn it.
The state is lawless.
I'm not saying it's an excuse, I'm just saying that's just the way it is. But before we sort of get too far down the track, okay, so when you said the values of liberalism you wanted to keep, I didn't really understand, because you're saying there are two values, liberty and equality. Yeah. So do you want to keep both of them and just change where on the spectrum it lies, or do you want to get rid of one?
I think the problem with the values of liberty and equality are that they can easily be taken to extremes.
Yes,
and
agreed.
Can always be appealed to by those people.
I don't think liberty can be taken to an extreme as long as it's under an overarching force, because liberty is not freedom, and that's where I think the problem is that it keeps being conflated with freedom.
They mean in terms of, well, I think Sargon means in terms of statecraft.
Sure.
In the sense that... if
liberty is not freedom, though.
Okay, but here's the thing. Imagine the people have no morals.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's
your liberty run amok.
Libertarians, by the way, who will argue like in favor of CP and bestiality and all kinds of insane, disgusting
Father
shit.
Louis.
You know. Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Because Father Louis did advocate for lawless shit at one point.
That's the insane. That's the insane side of it. But like, no, most people who are but that's not liberty. You're talking about freedom. Liberty is something different. Liberty involves the state at some level. I really need to fucking isolate liberty from freedom as being separate and isolate constructs. I'm getting real tired of them being conflated, because they're not the same thing. Can you have too much freedom? Oh yeah, easily. Absolutely.
Yes.
Can you have too much equality? Absolutely. Can you have too much liberty? I don't think so. Because liberty involves... No, because liberty is a more complex construct than freedom or equality. I truly do believe that this is the case. And I think it's a problem with that there's an issue with definitionality of equality that needs to be hammered out. And I need to come up with a really solid, which I have not done yet, but I'll go back to Lita and see what his is and go through a couple of other scholars and see what they have to say to really hammer out a definitive explanation for what is liberty and how it is 100% different from freedom, because it is. Because there's, first of all, we know there's positive freedoms and negative freedoms, or positive liberty versus negative liberty. But I think we really need to, because liberty is, I'd say, here's the most basic way I'd say it. Freedom is the innate state of man, right? Liberty is the state of man under a system of governance. And therefore, maximal liberty is okay, provided the system of governance under which it is operationalized is a good system of governance. Does that make sense? And therefore, I think you can have maximal liberty and be good. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whereas I don't think you can. Whereas maximal equality is pretty much always horrific.
Well, yeah, it's communism.
Yeah. Anywho, that's why I think maximal liberty actually can be a good thing. Look, again, I can't escape my libertarian roots, man. So.
Yeah, I've noticed.
People who are hostile to liberalism, right? And this is why the communists constantly pop up in liberal societies and as liberals, or like some form of liberalism. Because the communists don't really disagree with the goal of liberalism, which is to secure the rights that man has in the state of nature, right?
Before we get into like the communism liberalism connection,
sure.
Because every time you say something like that, it triggers me, and I want to jump in, but I want to get to the bottom of like what we're talking about first. So I was just like, without going to communism, what are the values of liberalism that we're trying to maintain here?
Well, the values of liberalism that liberalism is trying to maintain are the values
that you want to maintain.
Oh, well, the thing is, the values of liberalism aren't like, they didn't descend from the heavens, right? They come from a people, a time, and a place, and a way of doing things.
I mean, if you believe in God-given rights, I guess they do, right?
No. The rights themselves, the belief in the rights themselves comes from a particular people in a particular time in a particular place with a particular history for a particular reason, right? Based on a contingent set of circumstances. So the values of liberalism weren't set by something immutable, immortal, and heaven sent or something like that. The values are actually a product of a historical process. And so
if you don't believe in God, I guess, yeah, sure.
No,
no, even if you believe in God, like historically, the liberalism comes from England for a reason, right?
No, I mean, I agree with you, and I agree with what you're saying. But I'm saying if you believe in God and you believe that these are divinely inspired rights, then I don't think you would just, I don't think you'd be comfortable making the argument the way you're making it.
No. The things that liberalism values come from England, and they did all believe in God.
Yeah.
Right.
They believe those values come from God.
No, they believe the rights come from God. The values are the valuation of the rights done by the men themselves.
Well, hang on. I actually think maybe he elaborates on this, but I think also the values come from God and the rights come from God, because the rights are derived from the values. Yes, so it all comes from God. Ultimately,
yeah,
it's
I'm not
hierarchical.
quite sure if I agree with what he just said there.
I'm a little confused by that. If the rights come from God, then the values derived from, or the way around, right? The values come from God, then the rights
just
derived
message
from the
him and ask.
Yeah, I mean, this is sure. Yeah, I guess ask Sargon. I don't know. I think that's. I think he's missing the third line there. It all does come from God. I don't know why that's a bad thing though, or why we should believe that's a bad thing though, because up until very recently, the vast majority of people on planet Earth, and still the vast majority of people on planet Earth, believe in some kind of deity or religion. It's only in this like post this modernized America and modernized Britain that people don't believe in God, and modernized Europe. Let's go back. Did he say the rights or the values? Let's hear.
And I agree with what you're saying. But I'm saying if you believe in God and you believe that these are divinely inspired rights, then I don't think you would just, I don't think you'd be comfortable making the argument the way you're making it.
No. The things that liberalism values come from England, and they did all believe in God.
Yeah.
Right.
They believe those values come from God.
No, they believe the rights come from God.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, the rights come from God, but where did the No, I think that's backwards. I think that's backwards. I think that's backwards. I think the values come from God and the rights come from the values. He may have just misspoke. I don't know.
The values are the valuation of the rights done by the men themselves.
Okay.
Okay, I see what he's saying, but I still think that's divinity.
It is divinity. I also think he's got it backwards, but I think he's got to the general gist of it, but I think it's a little backwards, yeah.
Sure, but okay, I see it's a different side of distinction, but continue.
No. It is, because this puts the locus of choice in the men themselves, right? Because I mean, like, for example, probably, I guess, what you call the first properly liberal philosopher is Thomas Hobbes, and he didn't really value liberty or equality at all. It was later liberals who chose to take the origin point of the state of nature and then say, well, look, we can, in this, draw a set of values out of it. I mean, Hobbes thought that what we did is sacrifice all of our natural rights to avoid the state of nature. And so that justified the sovereign in being a total tyrant if he wanted. And in fact, you were considered to be kind of tyrannizing yourself by Hobbes, because you chose to go into society and therefore you imbued the sovereign with his power. And so when you're being oppressed by him, well, you're oppressing yourself. You know, so it's like Nelson Muntz punching you in the face, right? And saying, stop punching yourself. Obviously, this is a kind of baffling way. And so that, you know, Locke definitely took issue with this. I was like, well, look, if man chooses to make his own society, then he's the moral agent in that question. And therefore, if he decides he doesn't like his government, then he can just institute a new one for himself. And that's where you get the right of revolt. And that's what the American Revolution is essentially founded on, right? So you don't have to, as a liberal, value freedom and equality. You don't have to value these things. Thomas Hobbes didn't. And so the choice to choose something as a set of values is our personal choice. You know, the rights come from God, but whether you value those rights is a human question. And Hobbes said no, Locke said yes.
How are you defining him as a liberal if he doesn't value these things that you said were like the basis of liberalism? Liberty.
Because he is a mechanistic philosopher. He believes that the universe acts like clockwork. So everything is necessarily moved by certain things. And he begins in the liberal tradition with the state of nature, the materialistic universe, and man coming together to form the society. So being a liberal now means embracing the Lockean values, but they weren't always the case.
So you think, okay, so you think but by today's definition, Hobbes wouldn't be a liberal, right? You're saying by...
No, he's 100% a liberal. Because the alternative, remember, is to be someone who believes in the divine ordination of society, that God created the heavens, the earth, society and civilization, and ordained the king was in charge and things like this. So the liberal says no.
That's the Robert Filmer world.
Yes.
The world was actually different before it was like it is now. And so we existed as atomized individuals in the state of nature. We come together to form the society. And so it's an evolutionary process. That's what liberalism, that's how it begins.
I mean, sort of. I don't know, would most people agree with this idea? Because most time when I read it, you know, people do cite Locke, not Hobbes, as kind of the founder of liberalism, and they do always embed liberalism as, you know, individual rights and liberty. As opposed to sort of what you're talking about.
But the thing is, it's not the values of individual rights and liberty are something that is possible in liberalism, but not necessary, right? You can have versions of liberalism that don't really care about that. And
I don't know if you can.
No, Sitch, I do know you can. I do know you can, right?
Yeah.
And this is what Leviathan is all
chuckling about this.
The rational justification of civilization, right? That's the rational construction of society and the state. That's what liberalism is really about. The valuation in it, you could value anything you wanted. I mean, Hobbes valued stability and security, which is why he
Hobbes was in favor of the king, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Okay. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine.
It's because he lived through the English Civil War. Right.
Sure.
I
understand
why he hated it.
Of course. And I understand why philosophers, you know, we're all people, and our psychology and our experiences are definitely.
Could we get through the discussion of the Leviathan,
please?
The
world. I'm saying it's hard for me to imagine someone who's advocating for a king would be classified as like a liberal thinker.
Why? I would very much like to ask the Americans a question. Why do you have this weird perception that you choosing who your leader is, it makes you more free? I literally do not understand that concept.
My fucking mind.
No,
I'm
but
gonna lose my
there's a line from Lysander Spooner, no relation, that I quote because I really like it, where he said, "A man is no less a slave simply because he can choose a new master." And I think that's a great view. Like Leiden said, what does democracy attempt to answer? It answers the question, who should rule? Who should rule does not answer how.
He's killing out Red Hobbs. What the fuck? What? I'm having a conniption, dude. What the fuck? Okay, you want my solution?
Yeah, it's choosing
your
jailer,
exactly. Leviathan. Don't just read Leviathan. Read Leviathan and its enemies.
Oh, by
okay?
Samuel.
Yes, Samuel Francis. That'll give you a good idea about what the hell. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's so divorced from it's like two people trying to have a conversation while speaking different languages. You know?
Yeah, a little bit. But
that's what's so frustrating.
He's obsessed with Lockean idealism. That's the reason why, as far as I can tell.
You
know why these people freak the fuck out over this?
Why?
I think it's because if you ask these people, why are you alive? I think that is where the root cause of the discussion would go haywire. I really think that is the main thing that we struggle with in society, is that we are, as a people, we lack purpose and we don't know why we're here, so we argue this dumb shit. Because I think if you go by that argument, and especially if you go to like the American one, this is what I think drives Americans insane. There's a good line that Moldbach had where he said, the arch nemesis of leftism is reality. And America is fundamentally a left-wing country in the sense that it's trying to live up to an ideal. And if you look at like the woke thing is like trying to basically push American liberalism to its ultimate conclusion, and that's why Dave said what you're trying to do with this machine isn't possible. Because if you were to just look at human civilization for the past 1,000 years, and you said we're going to take people from all over the world, put them in a society, and see how that turns out, just on face value, you would think that's completely fucking insane. Because they don't all have the same values. They don't all desire the same thing. They don't all want the same thing from life. And they're all going to have different capacities based on the societies they come from. Right? There is a reason why if you look at STEM in America, it is dominated by Asians. If you look at athletics, there's a reason why it's dominated by blacks. There's a reason if you look at the bureaucracy in statecraft, it's dominated by Europeans.
Yeah, the cream rises to the top based on whatever that particular field has to be. And in terms of academia, it's Asiatics and whites, just saying. I mean, like, why does it offend anybody? I'll never be able to comprehend this. I will never be able to comprehend this. Why is it that there are differences between the races somehow and their skills offensive? Why does it offend anybody? It's because, and this is the answer, because the liberal mindset ascribes to this tabula rasa, that all men are created equal, and therefore all men are capable of achieving equality to the same degree, or achieving the same standards because they're born equal. No.
That's absurd.
That's not even what the American founding fathers were saying. When they said all men are created equal, they were not saying all men are created equal as in all born this blank slate that would be able to do the same thing as any other. No, it's equal under the law. That's what that means.
Even that, I think,
very different things.
Is not realistic.
Like equal under the law, why not? I think all people should be treated equal under the law. Why would you think that they should not be? Men are not made equal. Obviously, we're all made extremely different. But why not equal under the law? Why should laws not apply equally?
Because that's not normal.
What do you mean? Explain, please.
Well, you can push for getting people treated equally, but when you put like someone say someone then goes to trial or goes to a jury, and you go to a jury of your peers, they are still the ones that decide. Or if the judge renders a verdict, he will take into consideration several things about the person and his conduct. You don't treat everybody equally, you go by case-by-case basis. And also, like, it depends on the mood of the person. How well do they know the person? Is there a particular emotional investment?
Law is
that's what I'm
standard.
saying. Yeah, exactly. But
Sure.
the standard
Okay.
will always get violated because it's done by people and not machines. That's my point.
That's why we are supposed to have a system wherein you have probably multiple people looking at a case. That's why you have a jury.
Yes.
I don't know how. I'm starting to like be curious also about the idea of a jury system in general, but
by the end of this conversation, Aiden's gonna have a drastically different fucking worldview, and she's gonna be further right than I am.
Why am I'm suspect in the jury system? Because the jury system is essentially democratic, and it's a bunch of fucking idiots who don't understand the law trying to figure out what the fuck to do with somebody who may or may not have committed a crime. However, I don't think that judging from the bench necessarily is always a good thing either. Maybe, but however, a judge.
Please don't tell me you're gonna have an existential crisis by the end of this fucking video.
No, I'm just trying to work through it. The judge, however, being the expert, would be in this hierarchical system, and being the expert in jurisprudence would have the better idea. So maybe all trials should be handled by judge and not by jury. I understand the desire for trial by jury because it's trial by your peers.
Your peers, yeah.
Am I having an existential crisis on this?
A little bit, yeah. It seems I'm questioning your reality ever so slightly.
Maybe.
Because, like, you know, this is the thing. When people say equality under anything, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, we don't find this in nature. So if you're trying to make this thing equal, you're trying to enact or place down an equilibrium where there wouldn't be. And you have to ask yourself, why are you doing that? Is what you're doing possible? And what would the results be? Because that's essentially what you're doing when you're basically animating society, is you are trying to come up with a system that would ultimately, I wouldn't say benefit humans, but benefit the people of the society that they live in. That's why you can have different flavors of monarchy, but they are all completely different. For example, like if you look at the reign of, say, Catherine the Great, Peter the Great, Frederick the Great of Prussia, Charles II, King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King. Like, they all have different flavors of monarchy, despite the fact that they are all monarchies. They don't all have the same power, despite, okay, well, King Louis XIV obviously has the most because he's a French royal absolutist king. But all of these places have a different people and a different set of rules and circumstances for how their society wants to be. So when you try and apply this universalist equality model on all citizens, this is a reason why democracy doesn't fucking take in, like, Iraq. There's a reason why it doesn't fucking take in South Africa. It's because it's fucking run by morons. So I don't really abide by this one-size-fits-all kind of structure. You can maybe have, like, okay, I will argue the monarchy probably would work in every place because every place has already had monarchies. You have tribal chieftains, you have emperors, you have sultans.
It is the basic structure.
Because the family structure because the family structure is inherent in all human society. That's why the kings work, and why variations of them are found in all different societies. Whereas democracy is, well, arguably you would say is a system of government based on a reason of education and morality. Like, if you look at, like, John Adams, he says that the American constitutional government is for religious and moral people. It is wholly inadequate in the government of any other. So if this is the case of your founding fathers, I would imagine morality is absolutely fucking imperative to keep your state intact. Whereas if people spiral out of control, then the morality of your system fucking decays, and so your constitution goes bye-bye. I've noticed no one fucking talks about this. They're all, like, hell-bent on separating church and state while people become more fucking immoral by the day. I'm like, yeah, I can sort of see why, even by your own fucking founding fathers, why the state is going to shit. It's because you are corrupting the very fucking essence that makes your government work. Sorry, that's a bit of a ramble.
I think it's more that they don't understand the essence of what makes their government work. That's why they corrupt it. Because that's why you get people like Adam and Tish. No offense, guys, but, like, I think that's why things get so fucked up, because you don't understand how your government's supposed to work. You fundamentally don't understand it at all. You don't understand what the founding fathers were trying to do, and they failed, to be fair, at achieving what they wanted to do. Maybe for a short period of time.
Even Michael Malice said if
for, like,
you were to
20
look
years.
at the government, what they wanted to set out to do versus what it came out to do, you would just say what they wanted to do didn't actually work. And and fucking the Judge Andrew Napolitano said this, where the headline
alone. Of course, Napolitano said it, yes, because it's correct, because that's the truth, and we're not playing. It's the difference between telling the truth and telling a fairy tale that makes you feel comfortable. A comfy, warm little blanket that makes you feel safe. Well,
what did
the
he
truth
say?
is not a fairy tale, okay?
What did he say? They asked him Lionel asked him, is the Constitution still relevant? And he said, well, there's two ways to look at it. There's functional and formal. The formal side is it still establishes law as abide by the Constitution. People still swore an oath to it when they enter office. That's the formal side. Functionally, the U.S. Constitution has been a complete and utter failure because it does not constrain powers. Congress can write whatever the fucking hell they want. And so the only way you are ever going to correct the ship is to appoint judges, which don't really serve term limits in that same kind of sense, who would then right the ship as abided by the Constitution. And I found that explanation kind of weird because what Lionel says to him, and the Judge Andrew Napolitano agrees, is that the Constitution isn't being followed. So in my head, I'm going like, okay, so you want judges to right the ship as abided by the Constitution, but also it isn't being followed. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. That just sounds like your government is in free fall because people tend to obey the laws they want, and you really need more centralized power because once everyone is a king to themselves, you basically have like different agencies run amok, all scrambling for power, and they can ultimately do whatever the fuck they want, which is why your government is so fucking dysfunctional and fucking huge and still gets fuck all done. Again, sorry, ramble.
No, we're good. Let's get back into it though, shall we? No, I get where you're coming from though.
Yeah.
Because liberalism doesn't necessarily mean no king. Liberalism means a rational construction of society.
He said it.
It can be rational to have a king.
He fucking said it. He's egg fucking exactly. Thank you. Exactly. Liberalism does not mean no king. For
most people, they would prefer liberalism with a king.
Yes, and under the English definition of liberalism, which they're all basing this on, then absolutely, liberalism does not mean no king, or does not exclude
I would prefer a king.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, for Hobbes, it was rational to have a king.
Where do you get that? Is that your own definition of it? Or
your own definition?
No, that's just
the
standard
rude.
interpretation in philosophical literature. So, you can choose to value anything, really. Like, you could value that liberalism has a fairy tale that begins it, if you wanted. That could be, we could theoretically all be going on like, yeah, well, you know what? I don't believe in fascism because fascism has no fairy tale origin story. And I'm like, well, there we go. I'm not going to be a fascist then because it doesn't even have a fairy tale origin story. Look at liberalism. It's got a wonderful little fairy tale origin story. And that could be the thing that we value about it, But instead, we fetishize individual rights. And I think
oh my God, we absolutely fucking
English,
do.
Because these things come from a particular continuum of civilization. And that was a very, very ancient and core part of English civilization, is the idea that the individual has rights, the rights of Englishmen. And what Locke does is abstract those out to become the rights of man. And this really resonated with the English-speaking world.
Let's
and
be
beyond.
clear.
And it was from
No, hang on. To be clear, originally, it's the rights of Englishmen. It's not the rights of all people. This is the fundamental, the prima facie initial failure of the idea of liberalism, is to take something that applies to Englishmen and apply it to the entirety of the human species. Okay? This is your step one failure. Start again.
Revolution starts, and it's from the American Revolution that the French Revolution starts. And there's a direct genealogy, and the individuals involved, like Thomas Paine is involved in the American and the French Revolution. Thomas Jefferson is involved in the French Revolution.
Oh yeah, he's a massive profile.
What's his face? The fat guy.
Benjamin Franklin?
Yeah, that's him.
Santa Claus?
No, Benjamin Franklin. He's directly involved. He's like a diplomat or whatever. He goes there. Like these things are, there's a direct genealogy, and they operate in similar ways, but they begin with the same foundations.
Dev wants you to know.
Oh my God!
No, Dev said something correct.
Mechanicistic means that socialists and fascists would also be liberal, and you're talking.
They are.
About
they
modernism.
are an offshoot of liberalism. That's correct.
Okay, so you agree?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
but that's why they constantly follow liberalism around, right?
Yes.
Well,
it's not an accident.
Oh,
I don't know if
not a well
that simple. I think it's that basically we have ways, philosophies, and government structures that get replaced and supplanted, and the new ones creep up, and people are excited to kind of continue these trends as opposed to going back to like the olden days, right? There aren't that many people. I mean, maybe now, but there weren't that many people in the mid 1900s that were like, listen, we need, liberalism isn't working, capitalism isn't working, we need to go back to a king. Like they were like, no, let's do something.
Do you remember that Lean lecture that we watched?
Yeah.
And the German leader, and he said like, who's the person that you most wanted? And it was the cousin of the king of like Frederick the Great of Prussia.
Right.
No, actually, no. The desire for like a family ruler in Europe is exceedingly strong.
And this is the problem too, is to say that, okay, we need to extract. I think this is the problem. This is where distributism comes in, right? This is where distributism becomes important, is because the communism does not come alone outside of a system of government. It cannot exist outside of a system of government that props up communism. Capitalism is kind of the natural existence of trade, but distributism, maybe there you could have a different system, I suppose, right? Or a different way of evaluating these things. But like to act like capitalism inherently comes along with any system of governance is so prima facie insane. Like every name me a society that's existed that has not operated off of trade.
Private property.
Yes, of the ideas of private property and trade. Of the ideas of private property and trade. That's capitalism. So this is insane. This is an insane.
But I've heard.
I hate this dichotomy. I hate it.
The Russian argument that they had like a year and a bit ago. Adam said that expanding political power opens up economic powers, and that is just not true at fucking all. Because look at China. China has seen enormous economic growth, and they are not fucking democratic at all.
And they're capitalistic.
Yes, but like that's what I'm saying is like they have opened up their markets while not being.
My point was, capitalism is not in any way tied to any system of governance.
Yeah, but that's my point. People tend to think of capitalism as the way to like rise all ships, which it does. But there's nothing that says that your government has to inherently be democratic. Because again, you choosing your government does not mean your government. You for God's sake, 51% of the people can vote communism into power. I mean, they did this with fucking Hitler. So how the hell do you think this is like? How you think capitalism and democracy are tied at the hip? I don't fucking know. Like there's nothing in there that even remotely suggests they're the same.
I fundamentally don't understand how people think that capitalism is possibly tied to any one system of governance. It's an economic system versus a system of governance.
System. Yeah.
What? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when people say stuff like that.
How did Aiden destroy my point in 4 sentences? I'm confused.
Did I destroy? I don't think I destroyed anything.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of confused. That's why I'm like, why did you destroy?
I'm just.
Did I get wrecked and I didn't even know about it?
No, I didn't know about it.
Apparently.
I don't get it. I don't understand this is some argument that like weirdo people, and I know that Adam and Such don't think they're on the left, but people who like pretend to not be on the left make, where they pretend that capitalism is some kind of system tied to the right and communism is some system tied to, or socialism is a system tied to the left. No. Capitalism is just a universal system of trade. It has no moral valence towards it. Communism does. Communism has a moral valence tied to it. Duh. Because it's saying, this is how we need to organize the economic system so that we can make sure everyone is equal. That's not the case in capitalism. Capitalism is just pure economic trade. So there's no morals inherently involved in it. So it can apply to any governmental system. It's just so silly. I feel like you're
being gaslit?
Yeah.
Stitch is not center right, by the way. Stitch is center left. He would fucking wish he was center right.
God damn it.
Thing like a little different. Let's do this communism or let's do this fascism thing.
Yeah, but the question is what they're trying to achieve, right? And what they're trying to achieve is in line with the original promises that liberalism made.
Well, no, I think they're just trying to achieve everyone, everyone wants to be happy. That's what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to give people happiness and meaning.
You know,
I don't believe that's what they're trying to achieve. Happiness, no. purpose, I think is probably better. That's just my take.
That's contestable.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
if
true.
true.
That's eudaimonia versus hedonia, right? So eudaimonia is meaningfulness, right? Hedonia is happiness. Hedonia is pleasure. Eudaimonia is meaningfulness. These are two separate concepts, and people get them confused, right? They are different concepts. Just saying.
Aren't just about happiness. But the point,
not just happiness.
Yes, not
yeah. Well, there we go. Meaning.
Yes,
Meaning. That's
eudaimonia.
a different thing. I agree. There are lots of people who are trying to achieve meaning.
Sorry, Carl. I keep stepping on your points.
Right? But I mean, like the reason I'm using communism here, or I used it with James Lindsay, because it's such an obvious tell that the liberals haven't got an answer for, right? So, I mean, there's.
Well, hold on. Did we ever? I still don't. What was the value of liberalism that we were going to keep?
Equality and liberty.
Okay, so you want to keep those things. Right?
Well, it's not about not valuing these things, because of course everyone likes to be thought of as a peer to the people around them, right? Because that's about recognition and respect.
No, the title of Leadin's book is correct. Liberty or equality. Pick one.
The challenge.
And I pick liberty.
No.
And everyone obviously wants to have their own agency, because why would you want someone else in charge of your life? So it's not that these values are bad. Obviously, these are normal values that all humans pretty much would see as having value. The problem is the ideological fetishization of them. When you take this as this is a starting point from which all else follows, then you can go way too far in any direction, really.
Yep.
And so the problem is the ideological construction of what of liberalism. And to be honest with you, it's probably that there's no such thing as a non-liberal ideology. All ideology seems to be a product of liberalism. So it's not like it's a genuinely sort of, and when we say now we've expanded the definition of ideology, just mean worldview at this point, because it's just not clear what an ideology actually is.
No.
But it's some sort of animus to try and change the world in a certain way, which is a very vague definition and literally makes charity ideological. But I'm not the one who's failed to define ideology. It's everyone else that's failed. I'm the one trying to pick up the pieces. So the reason I'm saying, look, it's not about the values, is because we can have lots of values and we can value lots of things for different reasons at all times. The problem is the way in which we engage with those values. And so if you've got an ideological and rationalistic perspective, you begin before any contact with the world and you say, these are the values. And like I said, in liberalism, it harmonizes equality and liberty into one. That's not good, because actually they're directly contradictory. But liberalism says, right, did you want to ask something, Adam?
Well, okay. I was just saying, I get that it doesn't make sense to say that liberty and equality are the same. And I understand what you're saying. You're saying that, if you say that these two things are the same, that they come before anything else and you fetishize them, it's going to lead you down these fucky-wucky pathways that communists and fascists kind of go down. Well, maybe not fascists, but communists go down. And I get it. So I guess the question would be, so what is the replacement that you're suggesting?
Do you mean idolize by fetishize? You just
you could say idolize.
Okay.
You could definitely say turn them into idols.
Okay.
Which is definitely true. Like freedom is definitely an idol in America.
Of course.
Absolutely, 100% agreed.
And I'm not saying that's good or a bad thing. It's just, I think
most Americans can't even define what freedom is, right? Just freedom ain't free. Let me fly my flag. I'm not saying this is as to be denigrating to Americans. I'm an American, okay? But
I will say though to denigrate you though.
Yeah, sure. But they can't define what is freedom versus what is liberty. Right? It's a difficult thing to define. It is, but they can't define this. They can't differentiate these two things from one another whatsoever. Let alone, I think that actually they're considered analogs, and they're not. If not identical terminologies, which they are not. They are different things. So this is the problem. That fundamentally we're having issues with verbiage here and with definitions.
Amazing thing.
Well, you can have an opinion on it, obviously.
America.
But there are loads of people who disagree.
Yeah, well, that's because they don't believe in freedom because it isn't free.
This is such crazy.
I really hate how I'm actually predicting. I've not heard this.
What direction?
Pause. I hate how I am predicting the things that people were going to say before they say them, and it's happened now like 5 different times. Because at some point it becomes that predictable, and not just for Sargon, but for Sitch and for Adam. Why do I keep? Okay, apparently I'm on a streak, but let's go. Keep going. Almost like it's predictable to know what people are going to say. Sargon because he's on the right path, and Adam's just because they're going to tout colloquialisms and figures of speech. Yeah.
Do you want us to go in now? Like, what is the replacement to this?
It's hard to say, because before it, like, we used to have a different view on our own civilizations before liberalism, right? So we would look at where we were contingently, and then just make rational, sensible judgments. And in fact, sensible is probably the best word to use, because it's based on sense data, as in it's what we sense around us, and we make a prudent decision rather than having a pre-scripted decision that flows.
This is literally the way I described my worldview in my last video.
Yeah.
That did bizarrely well, actually, because I told people that... because I said to people, like you who are the libertarian types, your perception of the state...
Well, don't lump me in with all the rest of them. I mean, I am a libertarian, but come on.
No, I mean, like, I can actually ask you the same question. Do you, when it comes to your conception of the state, do you hate the state because it will enact on your freedom, or do you like freedom more? Like, what do you side? Which one describes you more? Your love of freedom or your hatred of the state?
From a libertarian perspective, love of freedom versus hatred of the state.
Yeah, which one?
Hatred of the state.
Okay, well there you go then. Okay, so my question then would
be for me.
Yeah. Okay, so what is
because
it about the state?
Because I don't love freedom. I don't love freedom. I love liberty.
Yes, but you would favor the king as your sovereign.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
In order to protect my liberty.
Yes. So in this instance, your hatred of the state is not so much the hatred of the state; it's your hatred of a certain type of man that gets attracted to the state. Because if you tell me yes, so you don't really hate the state; you hate
I hate democracy.
Yes. Yeah, but you see, but you see, that's my point, is that you value one more than the other, like in this particular ratio. But you think that the ideal that you aspire to in libertarianism, which is the freedom to do something, you would still choose a monarch because you think a monarch is better to defend that value.
Yes, far better, because a monarch is not in any way inspired to infringe upon my liberties, so long as I'm not doing anything to fuck about. Freedom's a different thing.
Hence why you should play as Mr. House.
Yeah.
In an episode of Fallout New Vegas. But the point I was trying to make is that I went by the Cortez quote, which is that there's only there's two ways to keep a system in order, which is that the people are morally aligned, in which case the king has no reason to deter the actions of his citizens because they are moral, and the other way is through political power should they get out of line. And the way I said is, imagine if you had a society that recently introduced alcohol. And originally, there's no problem. People drink, but they don't get too drunk. And then after a while, there's 1 or 2 drunk people, and then after a while, there's 4 or 5, and then it's getting to the point where it's getting kind of worrisome. And it's because you have a degradation of shame that doesn't exist anymore, hence why people behave like this. And in this scenario, what you need to do is a reintroduction of shame. But this is not something that can be established immediately.
This is the problem.
Yes, and then people will go to the state as the correcting facility.
Shame? How do you institute shame?
Well, this is the thing. In this kind of scenario, you would have to make it a punishable offense at some point. Because once your system is out of control, people will look for something to reinstate order. And in your society, you want that thing to be self-regulating, which is the morality. So this is why it's important to have religion in your society.
Yeah, yes, I believe so. the problem is that when you remove God, people will find inherently
they will worship the state.
Look, okay, exactly. Look at and this is where I come at a lot of things from an evolutionary psychological perspective, right? So why do people do this? Why do people do that? Why do they engage in these behaviors, right? And if you're trying to be accurate about it, then you need to look at things from an evolutionary psychological perspective. Now, from that perspective, what does every single civilization throughout the course of human history do? Develop a religion. They worship something. They worship a god. They worship something. It is intrinsic to humanity.
Yes.
Now, in the liberal system, the modern liberal system, I should say, we then divest ourselves of God, because God, that's not very much. Oh no, we've ascended above God. So who becomes God?
I think in our society, do you know what I think we worship in our society?
The state.
No, I don't think it's that.
What, media?
No, I think we worship materialism. I think we worship pleasure.
But I would say that it's all identical, or at least it's all interconnected. The state, materialism, the media, they're also intertwined. That it's impossible to
it's a very hedonistic kind of lifestyle.
Them. Yes, the hedonism.
But that's also why people are very miserable, because once your goal is just get stuff,
they have nothing. Yes, they have nothing. They have nothing spiritual.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's that. It's just that people don't have anything else to live for aside from this that gets shit. And when you have a society... Yeah, but the thing of it is, we are not a society, or we are not a species that values things. We're a species that values companionship. And in our species, you want your significant other to have a sense of standards. And so when you have a system where you have now with like OnlyFans, where women just earn an insane amount of money, it puts the men in a position where, well, the women can out-earn them, number one, and two, the women are tainted by a sense of, well, devaluation that the men don't really aspire to, in the sense that, well, the women want materialism, they can get that themselves, but they can't get companionship. Now, the problem with this is that women can, like Andrew said, imagine you gave women a power for 8 years that they can basically use infinitely up until they get to this point, and then they can't use it anymore. So you basically have 8 years where they can exploit the shit out of a particular power, and then once it's up, they don't need it anymore, because the main thing they've been told to value is materialism. So they basically strike while the iron is hot, and then once this is done, they want something else, but they don't know that what they want when they get to that point is contingent on them being better in their youth. And so when women finally hit that fucking wall, the biological clock is ticking, and men are like, I want a baby, and men are like, no, your baby years are fucking far behind you, and your behavior is disgusting, you're not mother material, and that's when shit hits the fan.
Right. If the behavior is disgusting, yeah. I think that and that's why you end up with all these women who are just like, they suddenly discover that late that they want to...
You know when you see them, that woman's like 35 in their car, and they're basically like crying,
like literally just weeping, you know?
And like, I'm alone. And we fucking told you this for 10 years.
I mean, it's like, you know, I've got my own fucking issues with that, like in terms of medical stuff. But like, I don't know how you just wake up one day at 35 after like taking like 100 dicks and then being like, maybe I should settle down now. Where's what guy wants me after taking a fucking mile worth of cocks? That's not gonna work out. I mean, I'm not.
But they haven't been taught to value anything other than just materialism.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like, you have no... I remember listening to Walter Williams, God rest his soul. He was talking about, like, in the 50s, if you were black, if you were pregnant and you were a teenager, you would, like, go off to live with your family in, like the rural South. You would be considered, like, a shame on your family. And nowadays, you fucking, like, see, like, 4 black teenagers, and they're all fucking on OnlyFans or fucking TikTok, all 4 of them having their stomach shown, like they're just proud of pregnancy. It's like, fucking hell, we have fallen bad. Like, that is just, that's gnarly for all the wrong fucking reasons. And you see this kind of shit and you're like, how the fuck did we get here? How did society fall this fucking far? What fucked up values did we lose to get to this fucking point? Because you see like the decay of people and like how miserable people are. And I blame social media and the internet for this mainly. I think like the best thing society would do is literally just to destroy the internet.
Yeah, probably pretty much.
Yeah. And television should fuck off and die. Let's go back to the days of legions, get fucking machetes and just start hacking the pieces.
Okay, back
a
to
warrior
this.
culture. It's not clicking now.
Just play it. You just play it because you double click all the
It's
time.
from
so
an
just play it.
abstract commitment to an ideological principle, right? So, for example, this is what actually I think made Donald Trump's foreign policy, so effective, because Joe Biden has got a pre-scripted view of what he wants to do with his foreign policy, right? It doesn't matter what the state of the world is like. Joe Biden's like, right, we're pulling out of Afghanistan. It's like, hang on, Joe, that's a crazy idea. You're going to fuck everything up. You haven't got any of the equipment out. You haven't got, boom. We're going to bring democracy to Iraq. It's like, okay, but do you not think the conditions on the ground in Iraq might actually want to inform your decision? It's like, no, we're bringing democracy because we're ideologically wedded to the idea, right? It's a value. And so instead of doing that, you can act kind of like the British Empire instead and begin from where you are in relation to what else is around you and just make sensible decisions that are in your interest and their interest if possible, which would be, I think, ideal.
Yeah, true.
And that way you end up with a sort of non-ideological perspective on the world and you end up dealing with things as they are rather than as you think they should be.
Well, I mean, that's impossible, though.
I was going to say, I don't think the Americans are capable of this. The reason I say that is because their entire country is built on this ideal of doing the exact opposite of what Sargon just said.
Yeah, more or less.
I don't think that's really possible for the Americans. Like, what? See, England is a lot older than the Americans, and there's a certain perspective of of how they want to see the world from like a British perspective, and there's like a certain element of enlightenment in their colonialism that seems more benevolent, whereas the Americans just seems kind of like soul crushing and fuck you. And it's because it's not an extension of a good empire in the sense that the British or the French did even.
No.
I would say maybe Spanish as well. But like the Americans, it's just like global homo. Because like, when you look at like the buildings that the English built or like the Dutch, like you see them in like in like parts of Hong Kong or India or South Africa's like Cape Town City Hall. You can see like these are products of English colonial rule or Dutch buildings. And when you see with the Americas, like you don't have that same kind of love of empire sort of spreading in the same sense. With the American one, because it is so just melting pot kind of mentality, it doesn't have that same kind of unique flavor to it. It just comes across as we are spreading this thing because we can and we have to get the power to, but there seems to be no love in it other than just greed.
No, of course not. Yeah, of course it's all greed. I was thinking about that the other day, is that like in terms of the ancientness of, I think that has something to add to it. Like I was thinking about the oldest stuff that I could think of in the US, right? I was thinking of my dad who's like a historian, and he would take me around down Route 1 and
get on a show sometime.
He would. I've asked. He said absolutely fucking not, never. So
that's gay.
He would show
I
me,
don't talk to him.
No, because he doesn't want anything to do with YouTube stuff.
No, but just get him on Discord.
He's a retired federal employee.
Get him on Discord. I want to talk to him.
He doesn't understand that stuff. My dad's a boomer. He's not going to get it. And he just doesn't want anything to do with it.
What do you mean? Fucking Sargon's on here and he's a boomer.
I'm telling you, my dad said absolutely no.
I can convince him. I can convince anyone to do anything.
You cannot convince my dad to do anything.
Want to bet? I'm a man.
You don't
I can speak
know
to your father.
my dad.
I'm trying to. That's the fucking point here, woman.
Anywho, so I was like, he used to take me around. There's all these like mile markers that are these old stone mile markers. I remember seeing them when I was a kid because my dad would take me around to old Civil War grave sites and stuff because he was looking at them as part of his work. Or just in general, and he would go leave actually little Confederate flags on them. And no. My dad would go around to Civil War grave sites. Though. Civil War grave sites to leave little tiny Confederate flags on the graves of Confederate soldiers because no one else would, right? Like and people put American flags on all the Union soldiers' graves.
By the way, the South was right.
Yeah, but states' rights, man, they were correct. But he would go put little and that's like, how do you think I ended up this way? How do you think I ended up this way? States' rights, man. So he would put little Confederate flags on on a bunch of graves there. But like, I remember also we would go to places like near me, where I grew up in West Virginia, it's a place called Moundsville, and there is this big mound there, and it's considered like one of the most ancient works of construction in the United States. It was built in like the 1500s, maybe even later, by Native Americans. And you know what it is? It's a big pile of dirt. There's no other way I can describe it. That's what it is. It's just a big pile of dirt. Meanwhile, look at the rest of the planet. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm saying there's a little bit of a difference there, right? A little bit of a difference there in terms of the level of civilization. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but let's go.
Because on one hand, I agree that, and I think most people would agree, especially in modern times, that we should be looking around the world in this kind of rationalistic, pragmatic way that you're describing. We should be.
We never do.
Trying to look for things that work and do things that work.
Yeah.
But we all have a different, in our societies and our cultures, all have a different goal about what we're trying to make work in the first place. And that's where the ideology comes into practice.
Well, maybe, but the problem with ideology is it totally colors the way we look at things because of the series of presuppositions. Like, for example, one presupposition that liberalism has is the blank slate, which I know you.
Here we go.
I know consciously you don't agree with it.
But also, look at it! Shots fired. This is what I'm talking about.
No, what do you mean, haha? What do you mean, haha? What do you mean, haha? You consciously don't agree with it, but fundamentally and in practice, you do agree with it.
If you agree in the American melting pot theory, then you believe in the American blank slate.
Then you believe in tabula rasa. Come on,
yes.
come on.
This is true.
You deny it. You deny that you believe in it, but you do agree with it. Come on, dude. Oh my god, this is so frustrating. It's like trying to get fucking water out of a stone. Go ahead, play it.
No.
I know you guys know that it's not true, but the liberal philosophy that you promote is still predicated on it being true.
True.
Right. We don't agree that it has anything to do with it, but sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why do women get to vote?
No. Okay, but wait. Before we get into that, what I'm saying is,
base suck.
It's not clear to me what you're advocating for, because
you want to answer that, Sitch? Please, fucking answer that question.
Whenever anyone advocates for
he's not going to answer. He's not going to fucking answer. He's not going to answer.
He's going to fucking filibuster
based on some sort of presuppositional philosophy or ideology about what is good or what is best for everyone. Like when you were saying that the British Empire is doing what's good for itself and hopefully what is good for its subjects.
Yeah.
What is the definition of what is good? That is the philosophy. That's the ideology. That's the British Empire is being based off of.
No, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be an ideology. Like I said, it could just be an inherited series of values rather than a prescripted series of values.
So just like a traditional idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So
work within the tradition you're in, right?
But that is an idea. To follow tradition, that is an ideology.
Well, that's why I said, look, the definition of ideology seems to have become really expanded to just mean worldview, right? But I actually think that ideology is more precise than that. Because you might not even have a rational view. I mean, the point about traditions, they're not rational, right? They're irrational. They haven't been planned out. They might not be logically coherent, and they might be riddled with contradictions. And you might not even have a clear understanding of what the tradition itself is. Like, for example, the Queen's funeral. I have no idea why it looks like it does. Like, I have absolutely no idea what the fuck, and I don't know how they came to those decisions. But the thing is, no one sat down and was like, right, now we're going to get the guys from the 19th century grenadiers out, then we're going to get the 17th century cavalry hussars out. No one sat down and like planned that out in advance. It's the accumulation of things that seemed important that have built up over time. And you end up with a series of values, like a network of values in that. But what that means is that you don't have an answer in advance, right? Because so, for example, you're saying, well, I don't know what you're advancing. It's like, well, I don't know what you want me to talk about. Like, if you're like, okay, well, let's talk about tax policy in Britain. I can give you my analysis of the situation, and then I can say, well, it would be in our interest that it would make our country wealthier, healthier, happier, richer to do X, Y, and Z, right? But I don't have that prescribed. Whereas someone like Millet has this prescribed. He's just like, no, abolish. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what the situation is. Doesn't matter what the commitments are. Doesn't matter what's happening. He always wants to reduce the state power. He always wants to reduce taxes. And he always wants to privatize, right? And also, that's the difference between ideology, which is scripted and decided in advance.
Are they going to be able to in any way understand what the fuck you just said?
Which is looking at where you are and just trying to do the best that you can do based on contingent judgments.
Yeah, but I feel like that view in itself has an internal...
Could you please pause? Thank you.
Calm the fuck down, woman. Jesus Christ.
What he's saying is that there are aspects of what you can call liberalism that can go in different directions that yet are still liberalism inherent, right? Or would fall under a sort of a umbrella of what could be defined as liberalism, because Sargon doesn't not ascribe to liberalism, obviously.
No, not in
no, but I think it's what he's saying though is that under the auspices, under the umbrella of liberalism, this is a pretty broad umbrella, right? That you can go anywhere from your melees to someone who wants some maybe government programs, someone who wants entirely government programs. This is the problem with the term liberalism, is that it's not a precise term. In academia, I would call this low resolution. This is a problem where the scope of the term is too broad to be able to understand the concept. There's tons of theories in academia where it is so broad that it encompasses everything, and therefore the resolution is so low that it's essentially meaningless. This is the problem of liberalism. Now, it has its problems in and of itself, but it also, because it encompasses so many things that people think that liberalism means or ascribe to liberalism, it is a functionally useless term, I would say.
Well, at this point, I would answer, yeah, probably agreed.
Mm-hmm.
You want to press play now, or?
Yep.
Internal contradiction, because if the idea is, okay, we're going to have this traditional model where we follow various traditions because they seem to have worked or they seem to have brought us to where we are now. And then if you're doing that, that's the exact opposite of saying, well, let's look around and try to figure out what works, because the whole point that you're kind of laying out here is that very often, which is true, we don't know why a tradition exists in the first place. And that's kind of the danger when we start monkeying with traditions, is because it could accidentally destroy something or create an unintended consequence that the tradition stabilized or fixed. So this seems to be a contradictory value.
No, it's not contradictory. What it is you are inheriting essentially a kind of iterative set of values from the past through countless numbers of real experiments in the world that regard human behavior. And this accumulates through no one person's expertise into a tradition. And so what this provides with you is a body of values, which things that your civilization thinks are good. It gives you a set of instructions on how things can be done to achieve those things. And it gives you a set of expected consequences. If you do these things, you can reliably expect these results, because so many people before you have tried the same thing, and this is the consequence they got. There's no particular contradiction there, and that unless we're going to expand the concept of an ideology to mean simply a person's worldview, That's a non-ideological position because it doesn't tell you in advance what the answer to any question is.
Yes.
It tells you what you value, it tells you who you are, where you are, and why you're there, and it gives you a bunch of advice, but it doesn't tell you no.
Yes, we're talking about moral foundations, which they should both know, but not about an ideological position. Moral foundations, sure, but not ideological positions which are consistent. I love that Adam's like laughing about it when he's the moral foundations guy. You don't understand what he just said to you. That when you ask those kinds of questions, you're getting a moral foundations answer, Jonathan Haidt answer, your favorite dude, Adam, not an ideological political answer. Okay?
It has to be this way. It's not that way, then it's not like some violation of liberal values, you know, which is honestly what 90% of British discourse politically is about these days. Like, did someone do a racism? And it's like, well, that's an offense to liberal values, isn't it? Maybe, but you know, how's the knife crime distributed in London? You know, doing a racism means saving lives. So it's like, okay, what now? You know, the traditional perspective goes, well, you've got to save the lives because obviously we value a person's life higher than we value not violating the holy tenets of liberalism, right?
Right.
Pause,
so
please.
if we're
because whenever I try to pause, you unpause. Okay. Adam's not paying any attention. That's why he's fucking around with the gifts and stuff. This is a very serious question. Is it the value of saving lives, for example? This is like a serious fucking question when it comes to Britain. I think that Adam and Sitch, maybe to a lesser degree, are living in such places of privilege they don't understand what is the outcome of excessive liberalism. It's living in Swindon, like Carl does, where it's just blown out, right? The whole city is destroyed because of multiculturalism. And what is multiculturalism? A product of liberalism.
Cancer.
Yes, cancer, but liberalism too, right? And they can't get it because, and by the way, Adam, it's coming for you rapidly. And he's aware of this. He lives
you're
in fucking
California, dude.
It's, I don't know, maybe where you live is a little bit outside of where it's, you know, completely cancerously
blown out,
just insurmountable, but it will come for you and you will find it in the same way that people do in places like Swindon. You'll find it there soon enough for the things that you voted for, my dude. You will find it. And then you won't be able to unvote for it because you voted in a foreign culture that hates you. That's what's happened in England. See how much you like democracy when that happens.
Kind of adopting the traditional model. How do we make, what is the mechanism in if there's no ideology and we're kind of just saying, okay, we're going to try to do what is traditional. How do you ever change course? What is the mechanism?
Well, you're constantly changing course
to change tradition, right?
Sure, the traditions change all the time. This is the thing. This is no. Well, you say of course, but the question implies that traditions don't change.
No. I'm asking, traditions change all the time because there's a philosophy change, there's a cultural change, there's an environmental change. There's all these forces that are acting upon a society, right? So I'm asking, in your system, how does tradition change?
Well, tradition changes because of precedent. Like someone tries something, it works, and so they adopt that thing as part of a tradition, and that's why you get kind of temporal, particular slices of time represented in a tradition. For example, in your like Congress or Senate House, you've got a sergeant at arms.
Mm-hmm.
That's very much a thing from a particular place and time.
Sure.
But then that's not something that John Locke ever wrote down. That's not something founding fathers wrote down. They just sort of did that. The filibuster is another good one for you, right? That's not part of your constitution. It's just something people did because it had a use and everyone found it useful, right? So this is what tradition, so that becomes a part of the tradition because everyone can see, okay, it fits within our value system. That person should be able to go out and make a real fucking effort to do that thing and hold up the thing. If they really believe that hard, we should probably give them some consideration. It persists because it's useful.
What I guess what I'm asking is, so all culture is self-perpetuating. It has to be, otherwise it couldn't be culture. And tradition exists in that same bounds. Something can't be a tradition unless the people that are passing it down protect it and preserve it and want to replicate the behavior or the idea, essentially. And so that means is that whenever there's a change, there's always going to be this conflict in society or between a group of people about whether the tradition should be changed in any way. And this will manifest.
Yeah, but it's never. Well,
let me just let me give like a specific here.
Right?
Like I'll give a very simple thing is, there was a time period where, people farmed rice in one very specific way. And that was the way that their father taught them, their father taught them, their father taught them.
Sure.
And then eventually one day someone comes along and they figure out a better way to farm rice, and they're going to produce more rice. But there's always going to be that resistance. There's going to be people fighting against it because it's against tradition. And so I guess what I'm asking is, if we don't have an ideology that says like, well, producing more food is better because we want people to have more time to be able to do other things, or we want to be able to have a larger population, then it becomes difficult to say, well, is it better to try to adopt the new way of farming rice, or should we just stick with tradition?
So the issue here is that tradition isn't a strong set of rules in the same way that ideology is, right? So, for example, if you have a rice farming tradition and someone says, well, look, if we just, I don't want to give the Mao example of planting crops. That's
that did not work.
Like, I don't know. If we plant it on a Saturday or something, it just happens to come out better. There's no violation of the tradition there. So there's no reason.
Well, what do you mean? Of course, there could be.
Well, there could be, but on the face of it, if
whoa, but no, the Mao shit was not a violation of tradition. That was a new thing. That was Lysenkoism. How do they get shit like this wrong? I'm sorry. How can you have a political podcast and not understand what the fuck you're talking about like this? And I'm actually I hope Sargon claps them on this in a second here. But no, that's not tradition. That was invented by Trofim Lysenko in the 1900s or late 1800s. That was Lysenkoism. That was not a traditional Chinese thing. That was developed in the fucking late 1900s. That's Trofim Lysenko. What are you talking about?
You're using it as hypothetical, not.
I guess so, but I don't like it because it's wrong. Sorry, I'm a little bit autistic. My bad.
Bring the extra variables into it. There's no reason
Carl,
that would be a problem.
We need a definition of ideology, just real quick.
It's an a priori set of rules.
God, we're getting
a priori set of rules.
A set of values.
I gotta be honest with this. Can I say something real quick? Please. One thing I have noticed about Adam and such over the years is that when they are not doing well, Adam will go, provide me with a definition. Provide me with a definition. Provide me with a definition. And the point is not actually, I think, at this point to be good faith. I think it's to then try and work around. To try and hold the person to some standards so that if anything falls outside of that definition, they can be like, well, that wasn't part of your definition. And I think that's actually very bad faith. I used to think it was good faith, but over the years of seeing this, no, I think it's actually a very bad faith doing. Words are hard. A really bad faith thing to do. Because I don't think it's done in good faith. Now, I know good faith, bad faith, these are terms that get thrown around all over the place. So maybe Adam is being good faith. But I find it...
Really?
I'm being polite.
Yeah, I prefer someone to be honest and polite. Then again, we're South Africans.
Provide me a definition. I need a definition. We need to define our terms in a good faith debate, and I mean that in the traditional sense of the phraseology. Yeah, you want to define some terms, but I don't know anymore. Now I think it's.
I've noticed when people ask you for defined terms when you're like half an hour in, it's because they're losing.
50 minutes in, by the way. Here, yeah.
Yes.
So
that makes me think they're losing.
Well, a set of values that inform rules about how society should act before contact with the world, right? So these are set by someone sat around going, you know what? We have this, and this. We should set this rule, and this rule, and then impose that on everyone else. That's what an ideology is.
Isn't saying that we should follow tradition? How is that not?
Yeah, that's
because traditions are living things, and no one has a monopoly, an intellectual monopoly on a tradition. No one has like an intellectual authority over it, and it's not controlled. So you can't just reset the entire
why
tradition.
Does that matter?
Well, it matters because that makes traditions a living thing, right? They're actually
but I'm just saying this is still an a priori decision to follow this.
No, it's not an a priori decision. It's an immediate contingent decision. You could choose not to follow the tradition, and there could be good reasons not to follow the tradition, right? But the problem is, from the ideological perspective, even if there are good reasons not to follow the ideology, people will follow it anyway.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I agree because but people are going to keep doing what they're doing unless something changes. But again,
well, no, that's the thing, right? So that's ideological, right? That's ideological.
No, I'm saying people will just do things that they're accustomed to. I thought that's what.
Sure, but if there's a good reason not to do a thing, if it's your tradition that every Saturday you go out and you pick a daisy in a field, and one day it's literally like hailing sideways, then you just won't go out and pick that daisy.
No, but see, that's
the next Saturday.
That's right? Okay. That's the difficulty here is that, and I'd assume you'd agree, most people, especially, well, maybe not individual people, but like cultures and societies as a whole are very often not rational agents and need something else to kind of promote a behavior, even if it's a behavior.
But that's what the traditions are. Traditions are non-rational.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So it's like, you shouldn't, I don't know.
Does this feel like the
like
dumbest
you shouldn't
discussion
go
you've
into
ever
that cave because there's an evil spirit in there, and this is something that's like passed down for generations. So people don't want to go in the cave. In reality,
pause, please. Does this not feel like the dumbest discussion you've ever heard? Like, why are we going down to like the most basic aspect of anything that exists in human culture? I feel like this is the most pedantic shit I've ever heard.
It is a bit pleb shit.
Why are we going down to the most? I guess
because Americans don't have any tradition that doesn't involve holidays or fireworks.
I'm struggling. By the way, I don't think I'm going to make it past. I'm getting tired. We have not. I said we weren't going to make it through anywhere near this. I'm going to probably go to sleep about half an hour, my dude. I'm telling you, because this is.
You're that tired?
Yeah. How long? What? It's nearly. It's half to midnight.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it's 11:30 or 11:20. Let's go to midnight and we'll see how far we can make it through it because this has been infuriating.
A slugfest.
Yeah.
Turns out that like there's a radioactive rock in there, but this is before radioactivity is known, and people go in there and they fucking die, right? So but that idea, the kind of the myth, is what prevents people from doing the action that you want them to do. And so you could have very easily a tradition, and most cultures have these traditions where they'd say, oh, you had the example of like, you're going to go out in a field and pick a daisy. But if they believe that going out in the field and picking the daisy is, what makes it so their crops will grow every day, then they're going to do that regardless of whether there's a hurricane or a hailstorm or whatever. And that's societies did this. This is what human sacrifice is. This is what animals
do. But what I'm saying is not a religion, right? A tradition begins from a person who's in a particular place in a particular time. Yeah, it doesn't begin with a fairy tale origin story.
No. Well, but I'm saying like, so well, okay.
Their religion.
I don't know if you can separate
can't deal with
the
this.
two
Not
things.
all traditions are religious. Some are not. These are separate things. Some traditions are religious. Some traditions are not. They are separate things. I don't know. He's now struggling to separate that these are two separate concepts.
Like when does an animal sacrifice is a tradition that most cultures did for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, even though it's based off of, what you would say was a fairy tale about a god or gods caring about this animal sacrifice.
Sure. And the thing is, you could even say that traditions are based in fairy tales, like legendary origins and stuff like this.
Most of them are. I don't know. I can't even think of a tradition that's probably not based in some kind of fairy tale.
The point being, well, no, lots of traditions aren't. Like, lots of them will be based on something that happened in a battle.
It looks like he's trying
to
light my pipe.
Sure.
Right.
That's okay.
So it's
like
not
what
now.
I keep
but
saying
the point is,
about the thing with Sargon is that it's like it really is like a dad talking to kids, right? Like Sargon's just
like the naughty kid not paying attention.
Yeah, he's not paying attention. Well, Adam would just say he has ADD and that's why he can't pay attention. I'm not joking. That's what I think he'd say about this. Sitch is trying to pay attention, but they're just not on Sargon's level. I'm sorry, you know. And Sargon's not on some other people's level in terms of intellectual understanding of the world, which is not to be an insult on Carl, but it's just like there's differing levels. Huh?
No one knows everything.
No one knows everything, right? So there's going to be someone above him, right? But like this is embarrassing. This is like a teacher in a kindergarten class. This is embarrassing. Play. You press it because when you.
How can you pause?
Because when I press it, you then press it, and then it gets fucked up. So
this
you just
is the
press
alternative worldview, where we
wait,
begin where we are,
this now? Can I please explain this to you?
generally fairly well of ourselves and our civilization.
Let me explain to you, Spoon. It's not my computer. It's nothing else. It's that I'll press the button, and then you press the button, and then it pauses. Right? Okay. That's what's happening. That's why I keep telling you to press it so that I don't have to do it because. There you go. Now you press the button. You press it. So there's no confusion. I shall.
And comparing it to what happened yesterday and then looking forward to tomorrow and saying, well, what could we make happen tomorrow from where we are? What would be reasonable? What would be good? What would be moral? Blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. The ideologist doesn't do that. They say, I have decided in advance what is moral, good, and essentially perfect. That will last for all time, and I will always be correct on that. And I can take anything in the world and compare it to that standard, which doesn't exist, and then declare that if it doesn't meet that standard, it deserves to be changed. That's the difference. And this is very Thomas Sowell, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So you can see Thomas Sowell speaking a lot through this lens. I don't know whether he ever called it the lens of tradition versus the lens of ideology, but he should have done. And I'm sure he would if, he was here to have a conversation.
Well, it doesn't, I don't know, to me, doesn't sound like what you're talking about is tradition. It sounds like you're talking about some kind of empiricism and rationalism. Is what
no, because no, exactly. That's the thing, right? Because anyone could be empiricist or rationalist, right? Mm-hmm. Because what these things presuppose is a kind of universal human will. But what I'm saying is what we should actually presuppose is that people are part of a social fabric, and that social fabric exists in a place, in a time, and belongs to a specific people, a group of people who share a continuum of history and culture, and who actually can't escape that, right? And so all of those things, the entire history of that people leading up to this point, will inform that person there and then. And so this is why when confronted with the same problem, someone from France will make one decision, someone from Arabia will make another decision, and someone from China will make an entirely different decision based on the things that make up their worldviews and their history and all of this stuff that comes together into that point where they have to make a decision, right? But the liberal, he makes the same choice for the same question, no matter where he comes from, and no matter what time it is, no matter what else is happening. Well, he always is impelled to make that same choice.
It's not like there's one flavor of liberalism that every person adheres to. Obviously,
oh my God. This is what I was talking about earlier.
In America, even among liberals, there's huge, we have this massive divide between the left and the right, which are both operating according to liberal
principles. I realize I'm speaking in.
That's why the whole point of the term liberalism is a little bit pointless. And I knew at some point, I even said this earlier, this would be deviated towards us. Well, what even is liberalism? Liberalism's all kinds of things. Oh, this is getting infuriating and tiresome, by the way.
In general terms. But like whereas like, the Muslim might say, well, then I must go and make my wife cover her face. The Frenchman might say, well, I must go and try and seduce this woman. And the Chinese man might say, well, this is against the teachings of Confucius and I should go and meditate over it. The liberal will have, I'm not saying there won't be a range of interpretations on what the liberal answer to this is, but it'll always be the liberal answer.
It will be in the framework, presumably be in some framework that adheres to liberalism, essentially, right?
But the question isn't the rightness or wrongness of liberalism. The question.
I think that also I think there's no ethic ascribed to liberalism. That's kind of the problem, which I think is why Carl is related to Confucianism and other types of ideologies. What is the ethic that's ascribed to liberalism? Freedom. right? Which does not have an which doesn't have an ethic of do or do not ascribe to it. So what do?
That's why I said to you, freedom is not a value; it's a variable.
Precisely. There's a good
quote. People should use that, by the way.
Yes, there's no ethic ascribed
I am
to
free
liberalism.
to do fucking what? You see, this is why I said it all boils down to why are we here?
Yeah.
Because that's the question that everybody asks. Like, is if I aspire to have freedom, well, if you give freedom to a Chinaman, to a Frenchman, an American, a South African, or an Australian, like, yeah, they're all gonna have different perceptions of what they want the civilization to be and look like.
Yeah.
So the option of if you give people freedom, hey, guess what? If your freedom on building a society is contingent on you behaving a certain way because you would like to have a certain moral worldview, and other people just decide to take that freedom and, I don't know, fucking rape and pillage, so like, yeah, you actually can't really wield the power of freedom because it's different to what we consider freedom to be.
Exactly.
This is why Mussolini said freedom is a duty, or liberty is a duty, not a right.
Yes. Because there is no fundamental ethic ascribed to it, then everyone's idea of what is freedom under such a system is, as long as it's legal, I suppose, is up to interpretation. There's no moralistic system inherent. It's why liberalism is a system that inherently degradates into communism, interestingly, but also all kinds of moral degradations beyond communism. So that's why Carl was right in the first place. You have no moral system in place besides, I would like to do a thing now, and I would like more things for me now. That's it. And that's why liberalism devolves into communism. We're not going to get to the end of this, by the way, guys, because again, I'm flagging, man. I'm flagging at. Whew.
No, I'm just saying, like,
the correct interpretation of liberalism.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, okay, so anyone who believes in liberalism or presumably comes from a country that follows liberal principles, when they're confronted with some moral quandary or some situation, presumably most people would believe that the correct choice of action is going to be something within the realms of principles of liberalism, because that's kind of what their culture has kind of indoctrinated them to believe, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
But these things can be taught to anyone, right? So,
right, but the same would be true for anyone from any country, whatever culture or ideal that they have, whether it's Confucianism, communism, Islam, or whatever. They're going to approach a situation.
But these are all ideologies, basically.
But everyone, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying everyone is sort of being swayed by these ideologies at all times. I don't see how you can escape
it. The thing is, it's a lot more complex than that, right? Like an individual culture will have lots of different dimensions that will be considered within the tradition. The problem with ideology is it thins that out into a very small number of things, so it can be easily taught. And you, for example, will always know an alien to your own culture because they won't understand the small things that wouldn't be taught, but you definitely pick up on, right? Whether it's, accent, mannerisms, all these sorts of things, politeness, propriety, and anyone can tell that you're not from that civilization. And if they know anything about other...
Actually, Americans might not be able to tell that. So Adam and Stitch might not understand that. But let's see.
Civilizations, they can always tell that you're from that particular civilization. And these are all parts of the tradition. And so, anyway, I kind of wanted to talk about why communism was inherited from liberalism.
Can we finally get to it? Yes, thank you. We should have started here. Fuck.
I mean, not to me.
Well, okay,
but we can move on.
The Chinese liberal will always make the same decisions as the American liberal, right?
No, I mean, I'd imagine they would have.
Why not?
That's what the point of liberalism was. You wouldn't.
Well, no, because I mean, look at Japan.
No, okay, well,
liberalism is a inherently universalist system. What the? Stitch, please explain yourself. I hope. Liberalism is a universalist system. You would say this is you would, in any other circumstance, say that this is a benefit, a boon of liberalism is that it's universalist. Why now would you say that the Chinese liberal would not have similar ideas or concepts as the French liberal? You got to argue this one hardcore. If this is a universalist system, why is liberalism different in China than it is in France?
Okay,
Japan is a country that has a democracy, it follows liberalism, and yet the
it's not
cultural
a liberal
attitudes are
country.
very different than America.
It's not a liberal country.
Japan's not a liberal country.
No.
Come on.
It's a traditional country.
Yep.
Well, it's both. They have a liberal democracy.
No, it's not. Fucking, oh my god. It's a great phrase that the Japanese taught me. You know what it is?
I don't know.
It's that it can't be helped, which is has to go to Shigata ganai deyo. Shigata ganai deyo. It can't be helped. Did I fuck that one up? Guys? It can't be helped. That's what that means, right? Or is my brain totally fried? Yeah, shigata ganai deyo. It can't be helped. And I'm saying this. By that it means like it's like give up. It cannot be helped. It's fucked. It's toast. This is toasted. This is toasted. This is toasted. This is shikata ga nai da yo dato omotte ne.
A liberal democracy. That's their state of government. They have capitalism.
No, but
they just have a very strong.
Iraq had a liberal democracy, but they're not liberals. You know, like these things were imposed on them by America. Afghanistan had a liberal democracy until it didn't. Like, just because something has a liberal democracy doesn't make them liberal, right? The point being,
they've been a liberal democracy.
We can take a concrete example. We can say, okay, well, look,
Russia.
Let's take the power of the state, right? Mm-hmm. Let's take the power of the state. Should there be a dictator in a country?
Yes.
Well, the Frenchman will probably say no. For various reasons that will be French.
Will say yes.
The Muslim will say, well, if he's a caliph, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinaman will say, well, does he have the mandate of heaven?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got three different answers to the same question.
Dude, and Adam's not paying one lick of... It depends on the type of people, exactly. And Adam's not paying one lick of sense to this.
But
not one lick of attention to this.
Every single liberal will say no.
Yeah, but that's
exactly
on specific questions. But you could do the same thing. Like in America, we very, very strongly have this, association with freedom of speech as being like this foundational aspect of our moral values. Where in Canada, liberal country, or even your country, that's not the case. They won't really. There isn't this strong adherence to freedom of speech.
Yeah, but this comes from a contradiction within liberalism itself. So the two traditions are the Lockean and the Rousseauian that we're currently watching battle it out.
Yes.
This is what I talked about earlier. The woman...
I think it's actually true. I don't think that's actually true. I don't think it's entirely Lockean versus Rousseauian. I think there's a bunch of other factors going into this that are outside. Sargon is very focused on that because that's his political and philosophical worldview. I think it's more complicated than that. I think it's a lot of commie thought going in there. So, but it's still, I just disagree. But fine.
Thinks the rights come from the state. If you think the rights come from the state, then yeah, you don't believe in freedom of speech. And this is actually enshrined in the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. They're like, yeah, you've got freedom of speech, but not if we don't want you to. Whereas, of course, the Lockean view is, no, we, of course, have the natural right to freedom of speech, so get fucked, right?
Well, I mean, you could believe that rights come from the state and still believe that they're prescriptively should have a very strong freedom of speech. I don't think those things are contradictory towards each other. Just the mechanism of what
it just doesn't. I'm sure if I looked into it, I could find a reason why it doesn't. But it just,
I can't see
it's just not the case. The Rousseauian interpretation of liberalism doesn't believe in absolute freedom of speech.
No. I understand that. I'm just saying in terms of the Rousseauian might not, but I'm just saying in terms of this specific, whether rights come from God or the state.
What? Why are you splitting? Sargon has given you the two different types, the two origins of liberalism. And there's two different ones. And therefore, it could be from either one. And you're just saying outright, no, that one doesn't count in this instance. But you might agree with other aspects of the Rousseauian interpretation and probably do. So this is where this is all fucking nonsense. That's why I hate philosophy, by the way, man. Like, can we talk about quantitative measurements? I don't give a shit about anything that's not quantitative. I'm a mathematician. Can you please fucking give me a number? There's no numbers here. I don't like. I'm sorry. This is the kind of stuff that just it makes my brain go to sleep. It's like it doesn't anger me. It makes me sleepy, and I am gonna go to sleep in about 20 minutes. By the way, dude, because I'm tired of this. Because this makes me sleepy. Because there's no maths, there's no data, there's no numbers. I can't understand. I can understand it on a philosophical level, but at the same time, I don't care. I don't care about philosophy. I don't give a shit. I care about maths. Yes, but I can explain that one with data.
You can explain monarchy with numbers?
Yeah, sure can. You haven't seen my document? You've seen my document about the whole monarchy thing, about like how monarchy was actually like tax people less than under democracies and things like that.
I mean, we all know that monarchies are actually more cost effective than the democracies, which is really, really weird. I don't know why people are so wedded to it. Like if you look how much the English spend on a new the coronation of a king versus how much the Americans spend each election cycle, and it's like Jesus fucking Christ, it is insane.
Let me try to elucidate, okay? So when I say I don't give a why this bores me, this kind of stuff bores me, in terms of talking about philosophy, is that it's like, oh, here's what this guy said, and then here's what this guy said, but none of it has anything to do with reality. It's just like it's theoretical. So I don't give a shit about theory. I'm a quantitative, empirical social scientist, okay? So, sorry, the things that I care about are quantitative, empirical, post-positivism. So everything else, like just like theorizing about shit, it bores me. I'm bored. Sorry, because I don't give a fuck about any but numbers. If you can't prove it to me with data, I don't give a shit. Or at least provide me with some good evidence. Your theorizing, I find to be, frankly, absolutely just nauseating. Whatever. Let's keep going, I guess, for a little bit.
Doesn't necessarily prescribe what those rights should entail. It's just merely a description of the mechanism of how rights come to be.
I would have to look into it, see why the Rousseauians don't. But there's going to be a reason for it.
Oh, sure, maybe.
There's absolutely going to be a reason that the Rousseauian liberals don't believe in absolute freedom of speech. But I imagine it comes down to simply it just being, it's not a natural right. It's because the state decides what your rights are. And so why would the person in charge want you to be able to say whatever you're going to say? Like, but of course the Lockean view is the total opposite. No, these are my natural rights. You don't get to choose. And I get to make this government. But the point being,
in that instance, I'm going to be honest, I side more with Rousseau.
Out of the two, but here's the thing: is that both of the combined Lockean and Rousseauian ideologies come together to make what we call the modern idea of liberalism. And I think that's exactly what Carl is trying to say here: is that you're going to have a hard time separating these two in terms of the modern conception of it, and that's what he's trying to show to Adam and Sitch.
I would say is
that their ideas are contradictory.
The concept of you can say whatever the hell you like, okay, that's nice in theory.
Sure.
But you also have to understand that if you denigrate the king to the point where people think it's okay to make fun of him, then it starts undermining the power of the king, and then your state becomes kind of shady. Yeah.
Let's be clear about that, okay? Now, you and I as monarchists might have an idea about that, of saying you can't denigrate the king, or you can denigrate the king up to a point. You can, but here is wherein the Lockean and Rousseauian ideas being interconnected in the American liberalism system in particular, where it becomes insane and why it produces a schizophrenic system is that, well, you can denigrate Donald Trump, but if you talk shit about Joe Biden, you're going to go to jail. You understand?
Yeah.
That the same system, the same liberalism system, can be used to justify both under the same philosophy. That's why it's schizophrenic. And that's the problem with liberalism. It's a schizophrenic ideology.
Being these things, the liberal answer to those questions is basically the same in all times and all places, right? The liberal will always say, no, we shouldn't have a dictator.
Okay. They're not.
Okay, when will a liberal say you should have a dictator?
Well, they wouldn't say that. They shouldn't say that. They'd be like,
yeah, they would do if it's someone that they like. Yeah, they would though. That's the problem. If it's someone that they like, then yes, they would say it should be. They would accept someone who is a dictator, who is not a who does not portray themselves as a dictator. It is possible because liberalism is meaningless. It's like a bunch of contradictory fucking terms. It's meaningless. It's
I think the chat wants you to read the chat.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Let me read. Oh, let me read the chats. All right, sorry guys. Getting a little bit spicy here. Okay. Where were we? Last my red one was. Yes, Jernigi for 5 says Adam and Sitch are the kind of guys that make fascism seem based. It's just those anti-drug campaigns that have the opposite effect on kids. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately. DRT is King for 5 says no equality would become a Mad Max statocracy. Faster than you can chant. 2 men enter, 1 man keeves. I think you meant leaves, but yeah. No, equality. I disagree with you there, DRT is King. And we could have a more maybe it's something we should have like a debate on liberty versus equality, and specifically equality versus liberty. I think we really do have to have that at some point. Is what is equality? What is liberty? And what is liberty? Or excuse me, what is equality versus what is freedom? I think that maybe that needs to be all hammered out really hardcore, so that there's always something we can point to and say like, what is equality versus what is freedom? Because that's gonna I think that would help people understand at least my perspective on it. Right. At least for the Doberman for 5 Canadians says equality is the worst lie told by Western society. Liberty. Liberty is a good one. Liberty is a good thing. Equality. Yeah, that's the lie. At least for the Doberman for another 2 Canadians says smash that like button if democracy is gay. It sure is.
Based.
Free Golem for 5 says, regardless of the system, you will still have to answer the question of how do you reliably maintain quality control? A king. Religion. A king who's trained in statecraft under the auspices of a religious order. Yes. DRT's King for 5 says...
You need to contribute to the state.
Yes. DRT's King for 5 says, if you are innocent, then you want a bench trial. If you're guilty, then you want a jury trial. Right? If you're Donald Trump, you don't want the class of judge we have. The problem is they're just putting him before a judge, and the judge already hates him and has already decided prima facie what they're going to do. Which is ridiculous and is a complete and utter just violation of the legal system. Perversion. Thank you. Correct term. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dreadnought for 10 says, regarding judges, wow, experts sure did a good job with COVID. Man, financial experts sure did a good job with the Fed. The key isn't group or expert. It's making sure they have a stake in having the right answer. Based. Exactly, Dreadnought. Nail on the head, man.
That is why we're monarchists. You need someone that has a stake in the game.
Slosher for 20 Canadian asked me, he's like, Aiden, would you kindly say the following in your best West by God Virginia accent? These colors, they don't run. Country roads take me home.
Did you just say these colors don't run?
These colors don't run. They don't run. They are blue and gold.
Sorry, I thought you said colors don't run.
What are you talking about over here? Like, why? Why are you getting all? You cut me off in the middle of my little bit of song there. Why? Thank you though for Slosher for 20.
Colors do run, especially if you tell them slavery's coming.
Oh shoot! Oh, now you got. Well, now unfortunately you got me into my Western accent. I'm gonna read the rest of them in it. Therefore, Lance for 2 says nowadays women think 100+ cocks is a low body count. Yeah, and sure are some whores out there. Dreadnought for 10 says I get what you're saying about the Native American civilization, but you gotta admit that the Incans and those guys in the Southwest building homes and cliffs are pretty dope. Mountain peoples unite. I do agree, by the way, with that. I was talking about people in northeastern United States. Not in South America. They did some cool shit. They did some really cool shit. Oh, sorry. I dropped out of my accent there for a second to say something legitimate. Minnesota Fats for 10 says, in my opinion, freedom is an internal construct inherent to the human condition ipso facto, while liberty is an external one, boss. A liberty exists within a structured society with laws, ethics, etc. Exactly. That's the difference. That right there, Minnesota, is the difference. Freedom is a natural state of man. Liberty exists within a structured society. Liberty cannot exist outside of it. Liberty is a cultural, civilizational concept. It is different, inherent than freedom. And then finally, Supreme Emperor Kizza over here for £5 says, I'd like to take part in the debate of liberty versus equality. Also, Aiden, may I speak to you after the stream, please? Sure thing, man. If I'm, dude, I don't know. Actually, I'm tired as hell, so maybe. I'll tell you what, I don't know why y'all was being a little bit inconsiderate towards my accent. Like I had to learn my whole life. I've maybe gotten a little bit second wind here, so maybe we'll be all right. I took my whole young life with this accent. People made fun of me, so I had to learn how to now speak like this in a non-regional dialect. Isn't it? Which one do you prefer? Anyway.
Well, I'd like to think
if you believe in
Islam, my
there's going to be
an accent in that one.
Oh, would you like to? Oh, sir. Oh. Would you like to go for tea, sir? Would you like to?
I swear to God, woman, I'll beat your ass.
Well, no, don't beat me, my fine gentleman. You go beat that Negro out there, as you are so wont to do.
Okay, that went fucking dark really fucking quickly.
I don't know. Where do you think it was gonna go? We're playing Southern characters. Where do you think it was gonna go?
Lynching?
Oh my goodness. Well, that went really dark, yeah.
Yeah, that's
a lot of things
Oh, let's get out of this. We need to run away from this as quickly as possible.
Have a difference of opinion about, and there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to agree on, right?
Yeah, but
depending if you're Shia or Sunni, you're going to say, oh, should this person be the ruler? And they say, oh, well, this guy wasn't, he's not from the bloodline of Muhammad, so he can't, so he can't be the ruler, right? And then one sect says he should, then you have wars that go on for 1,000 years.
Sure, but that's a schism. That's not the liberal will say no on no matter what.
Right, but both the people in Islam would say, well, we still believe, on average, that the state should have, Islamic values, enforce these Islamic values, even if they disagree on one thing.
Sure. I'm not saying that they're not Islamic. I'm not saying that a Muslim couldn't be expected to have the same opinion in all times and all places. Islam's clearly an ideology, right?
Yo, I didn't say the N-word, guys. I didn't say the N-word, okay?
For example, a non-ideological take on the dictatorship is the Romans. The Romans instituted a dictatorship in their constitution in times of serious danger.
Right.
And they use this quite often. And the dictator would be a dictator for a year, and then he'd stop being the dictator. So the Romans didn't have an ideological, no, we must never have a dictator like the liberals have. The Romans say, well, if we need one. And so that's the difference.
But I would say
the ideological versus the non-ideological.
I
didn't say advocate for lynching, for God's sakes.
The ideological disgust towards dictatorships that exist in liberalism, it didn't come from the ether. It wasn't God's whispered into Locke or Hobbes or Rousseau's ear. Well, not Hobbes, but whispered into their ears, essentially, to not have dictators. It's based on this view of experience,
because of what we keep saying, which is that liberalism
they literally introduce it into the time of danger. So
yes,
so if that kind of tells me that the Romans at least saw that the dictator or the emperor, whatever the hell you would call it, in times of crisis was the steerer of the ship when things were to go tits up. I would think that's fairly fucking normal. I mean, you look at me right now. I value autocracy in my own country. Why? Because I would want someone to whip them into order.
But this is kind of ridiculous of thinking that, like, well, no one could have anticipated that liberalism would be used in a way that would end up in a fascistic or totalitarian way. It's because liberalism is such a fucking vague idea that, of course, it can be twisted into anything. If my idea is just, well, here I'm trying to think of, like, I'm not good at coming up with hypotheticals or whatever on the top of my head, but if my ideology is I like Play-Doh, and then somebody comes by and and makes a giant Play-Doh guillotine, I guess, then what the fuck,
You said Play-Doh. I thought you meant Plato, the philosopher.
No, not Plato, the philosopher. Play-Doh. I don't know. If I say, like, yeah, I like this harmless thing, and of course it's good because it's a harmless thing, and so it's nice and it's fun to play with, and then someone comes by and does something destructive with it, well, that's not really because it's its fault. No, it's because it is weak. It's weak, and therefore able to be abused. Right? That's the problem with liberalism. It is inherently weak. And meaningless, but sure.
or tradition of looking back and saying, oh, when we have these dictatorships, it generally tends to lead to bad things, so therefore we should create a tradition and a culture
purely
of
from
not
the English
everyone
tradition.
to agree with this concept.
Yeah, but it comes purely from the English tradition. Like the liberalism's precepts and value system is an abstraction of the rights of Englishmen by John Locke in like 1689.
Yeah, it was looking why we shouldn't have, why people should have, why people should have rights and why we shouldn't have an absolute monarchy.
Sure.
Let's go.
You're absolutely correct. But we can divine exactly the time and place it comes from, and the tradition that was being followed. So why would we ideologize it? Why wouldn't we just follow the tradition?
Because at the same time, he was arguing with people that were saying, "No, fuck you. We should have an absolute monarchy."
No, yeah.
I mean,
hang on. Yeah. No, that's true. But the English don't need to be ideologically liberal to be able to resist tyranny, right?
No, but like, who was the guy's name? Who was he arguing with when he wrote the second treaty? He was arguing with who?
Robert Filmer.
Right. They were arguing about what is the power of the king and what the Bible, dictates the rights of man. And there was this ideological struggle. And what we see, which I would argue is what you see in all of human history, is that whenever people are arguing for a philosophy or an ideology, it almost always gets embedded in a sort of ideological religious sense, because that just seems to be the way people interpret information.
Well, no, that's not true. I mean, like, for example, it's weird that Locke feels the need to make up a fairy tale story when he could have just said these are the rights of Englishmen, and they've always been the rights of Englishmen.
No one would have bought that argument in that day, I don't think.
Well, of course they would. That's exactly what
they had to argue through a biblical interpretation.
Yeah, but
no, it's a biblical interpretation. It's a legalistic interpretation that existed since the Magna Carta.
I would say there is a bit of biblical.
Yes, it is. There is
not quite as strong as Filmer, though.
There is a biblical interpretation that runs through it. There's a through thread there, right? But we're talking about, at this point, pretty ancient British common law. This is why Americans don't fucking get this shit. That this is like, they think that the world just starts in 1776.
Well, their world certainly does.
Sure. And that therefore all of like things of, and they can be like, oh yeah, there was Greece and then there was England and whatever, and those were democracies. But the real democracy is our democracy. No, you don't understand the through threads here. This is such Americentrism that it makes me fucking ill, dude.
That was his whole argument, right?
Was from the Bible.
No.
As you did, Sargon,
Locke was rebutting the argument from the Bible. Right?
No. He was arguing that through the Bible, you can look at the Bible, you can look at the Old Testament, you can look at the Garden of Eden story, and thus interpret it in a way that creates liberalism and grants men individual rights to not be, lorded over by kings. And
he's using this as an argument to make his point, the same way that you would make a legalistic argument. He's saying, look, we have a document that at the time in which Locke is arguing is considered to be, by pretty much everyone around him, an incontrovertible truth, and using it as a legalistic lodestar and saying, look, here's evidence, right? That this is a thing that has existed throughout all of human history, and therefore it should be our lodestar going forward. To make a different argument. Why is this confusing? I'm getting confused. What the fuck? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Kings in like an unfair manner. That was his argument. He wasn't saying the Bible was trash. He was saying, no, the Bible proves what I'm saying.
No, he doesn't appeal to the Bible.
He 100% does. What do you mean?
No. When he's constructing his liberal argument for the limitations of government, he's not appealing to the Bible, right? He's appealing to a rational, theoretical history in which man came together to choose to form his own societies, right? So society itself is...
The reason I use the term lodestar, that's a legalistic term, is because he was not using the Bible as a religious text, but as a legalistic text. Why do they not get this? Have they not... Oh my god, oh my god. Oh, it almost came out of my mouth. It almost accidentally came out of my mouth.
Read Locke?
Have you even read Locke? Oh my god. Have you read Locke? Apparently not. Apparently not. He's using it in a legalistic, not in a moralistic nor religiosity.
Yeah, law
as
is like Benjamin said,
concept.
law is not morality, but it's.
Oh my god! How can you get this confused? It's a legalistic sense, not a moralistic sense.
It's man-made.
He's not. Wait. In Second Treatise, he's 100% saying that his philosophy comes from the Bible and it comes from the Garden of Eden creation story. That is
that's the origin of man.
Right? Yeah,
I'm not saying that
he's rooting his philosophy in that origin.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, they're all Christians. Of course they're going to. They're going to put the origin point of the creation of the universe as God. And literally,
right, but that's what I'm saying. That's why the philosophy is embedded in an ideology as opposed to just this kind of vague tradition.
That's not correct. It's not correct. Locke had a mechanistic view of the civilization. He didn't believe it was just created by God, right? He believed man was created by God, but man began in a pre-social state of nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he believed that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but that's not the same as the argument that was being had by Filmer, that was God had organized society as it is now, which is why we can't change it.
No.
The thing is,
I understand.
Hang on, but the thing is, there's no need to make up a story in order to assert the rights of Englishmen, because traditionally these were considered to be a part of the English people, literally since before Alfred the Great, and they had been asserted before against the tyranny of the king without having to make up stories. They just said, well, look, in accordance with our ancient liberties and customs, you don't have the right to just appropriate our property or lock us up or hold us without trial. And this is what Magna Carta is. Like, it just appeals. It doesn't appeal to like some mythical time where men were wandering around the woods on their own. It just says, no, the traditional rights of Englishmen were that the king's power was limited.
Which I think is actually what Adam and Sitch are appealing to, is the tabula rasa, the time where people are wandering around. No, a time before tradition, where the man is just born in a blank slate, right? That's the tabula rasa. All men are tabula rasa. That is not what the Magna Carta is based on. It's based on English history and tradition. And is it just because they're divorced from it? I don't know. That they can't comprehend that this is based on a tradition of... Why can you not understand it when you live in a country that has the Bill of Rights, that has the Federalist Papers, and then the Constitution? Start with the Federalist Papers. You can understand that there is a tradition and history of a development of series of ideas, and you know for a fact that it does not just appear from the ether, it comes from English common law. What the fuck is happening? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. You didn't just appear out of nowhere on this continent, but then I mean the American continent, not where I'm at. You didn't just appear on this continent as blank slates. Why don't you understand that everything that you have in your system is based on English common law? It's flabbergasting to me.
And like, I mean, I don't even know. I'd have to go back and look at what Cromwell said, but I don't think Cromwell even said this during the Civil War. Like, and these were all open revolts against the arbitrary power of the king. And the thing is, this arbitrary power of the king only seems to have been introduced into England from the Norman conquest, because it comes from the sort of French view of what kingship was. It was never a part of the English view of kingship. And so, you can have resistance to tyranny in a tradition. There's no need to abstract it away into an ideology. And when you do abstract it away into an ideology, then you're left holding something that is told to you to be true in all times and all places. Like, there could come a time where it is necessary for America to have a dictator, right?
Based.
Circumstances in geopolitics may force the need for America to have a dictator.
Let me tell you the difference,
but
right?
because you have your constitution,
please.
which is like a dead hand over your civilization, doesn't change.
Please. Sargon is looking at things through pragmatic and historical politics.
Well, that's the way we do as well.
Exactly. Adam and Sitch are looking at things through idealism and fantasy politics, I'd call them.
And also tradition, actually, funnily enough, because they're also looking at it in this... There's sort of a weird mix of both idealism and tradition. 1990s traditionalism. No. I mean this in the American sense.
Okay. Yes. American traditionalism.
Yes, in the sense that we are always a republic and we will never change ever, which is fucking insane, because Every country has done this. What the fucking hell? Do you think you're the exception to the rule?
Yeah,
no.
The difference is
Jesus fucking Christ! Germany went through 4 in 1 century.
Your and mine traditionalism, yours and my traditionalism goes back a couple thousand years before theirs. But yeah, so they're like, it's worked for like 300 years. Therefore, it's a bizarre sort of.
I think if you were to bring back the founding fathers and you showed them a state of America right now, they'd be
I know.
like, Jesus fucking Christ, what have you done?
They would weep at the state of things. And they wouldn't even be able to comprehend it, not just because of the technological advances.
They would just go,
like,
"Oh my God, we've made so many mistakes.
Look what we've done." I don't think they shouldn't blame themselves for that, because the founders were pretty clear. It's been everyone in the interceding
They were really
years.
fucking young.
Yes, they were. Most of them were very young.
Fucking like early 20s.
Like 20s and 30s.
Yes.
Fucking most of them were probably younger than us.
Yeah.
To make an entirely new system of government. Now, based on the Greek system and based on the British system very much, but still a kind of new system of government that, guess what?
Do you have a Speaker
failed.
of the House?
It flopped. It didn't work. It worked for a little bit, but it could only basically work as long as there were still founders there to aid it. The British common law system,
There should have been a time where Sir George Washington should have taken the crown. He should not have given up his seat of power.
The monarchistic system has worked for thousands of years, and the British common law system has worked for hundreds and hundreds of years. So, you know what I think works better is British common law and monarchism. Just saying, based on, I don't know, data and facts. Just saying. Whoops. Because, like I say, quantitative, empirical, post-positivist. I don't give a shit about feelings.
Charles II.
It's going to be the same. Your constitution will be the same in 100 years, in 200 years. But the world won't be the same. And so this is why an ideological perspective has weaknesses.
So, there's two things I want to get that. I want to talk about that constitutional dead hand thing for a second, and how that relates to tradition. Before I get into that, it's what you're describing in terms of how you're talking about tradition. To me, sounds very similar to when we hear Richard Dawkins or the other guy whose name escapes me. About atheism, about how you can kind of create a moral system that doesn't require religion. That's kind of, we can have this atheist moral system that all the people will follow. And me and Adam.
You want to keep going? For you?
You want to stop now? Are you sleepy?
I'm tired as fuck. Do you think we've covered this enough? Like, this is ridiculous.
A little bit.
You want to make it to the half hour?
No, we can go now.
All right, okay, guys. All right, I have 2 more super chats, which is DRT's King for 2 says, I love the accent, makes me hard. Oh, gross. But thank you. Lance for 5 says, I wish he was more based personally, but can we add Wendigoon's black people clip to the soundboard? I feel like it'll get plenty of use. I will, in fact, add that. Hang on, let me write that in my notes. Hang on, I have a note thing actually here. Let me make sure that I add that. Add Wendy black people. It's just a really funny clip. It's out of context to the soundboard. If you're not, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, I'll play it here real quick. By the way, Wendigoon is a lovely, wholesome lad. But it's just this particular, hang on, Wendigoon out of context. I think it's the first clip. Actually, so it'll be fine.
Fucking HP just sent me a clip, and he just went shot and then chase him.
I think it's this one. Let's see. Wendigoon out of context. Is this one? That's not it. No, this isn't it. Okay. No, context of Wendigoon. This is not it. This is not it. This is not it. I gotta find it. I know what it is because he's got a bat. He's got a bat in it. Oh, here it is. This is, oh, I got it. Got it. Okay. This is it. Got it, guys. Sorry. Excuse me, princess. Here it is.
Black people.
That's it. That's all it is. Just that 1 second. Black people. Black people. All right, guys, I'm tired as fuck. So I'll try to add that. All right. You know, we managed to get through a whole hour of that. There's 3 more hours. Please go check it out on Adam and Sitch's channel. By the way, let me go post this here so that you can go find it. If you are wondering where we're getting that video from, it's not hard to find, but Adam and Sitch. Let me go find it here. So I don't like to not give. What one was this? When they just did this like 2 days ago. We're gonna this Mr. Beast filter is screwing me up. Okay, here it is. All right. I put the stupid Mr. Beast thing on it, and it makes me confused. Now, okay, here's the video if you would like to watch the rest of it, because there's no way I'm getting through the rest of it. And I'll pin that. Batman for 2 says America doesn't need a king; it needs an emperor. Fundamentally, there's not a huge amount of difference, but
I like when they went like, no, king is not based enough. We need to go one further.
Get more
Fuck
based.
that.
Let's go. We have to go further.
Full empire.
Let's go.
I did actually say Trump should go mask off and make one of his kids VP. Can he actually do that via the Constitution?
I don't know. Probably not. Horwitz, Feinberg, and Horwitz for 5 says, when you stop the show, I'm going to play Southern Accent by Johnny Cash because I miss my grandmama. Well, God rest your grandmama's soul, Horwitz, Feinberg, and Horwitz. And may she rest in peace. I'm sure she is in heaven with Jesus. And may God bless her too. And it does, unfortunately, when I start to talk about things like that, it does make a little bit of that Southern accent come out. All right. Alrighty, y'all. Are we, I think we're going to have to head out now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I have fallen back into my West Virginian accent. Was there something else I was supposed to do? Some Kizza, you want to talk to me after the fact? We'll go talk about. Go call me if this. I'm still a little bit awake, so we can go do that. Just for a moment now here. Yeah. Y'all be safe and calm down your own hollers and have an excellent evening. Cheers.